A brilliant light flashes across a sparkling, cloud-filled sky. A baby girl with gray-black hair cries in terror as she plummets through the air, wondering what is happening. Ding! As the crying girl falls, a glowing blue interface begins to form beneath her. A system review of Luo Yinyu's first absurd life full of hardship flashes before her, prompting a furious curse, followed by a summary of her second life, which ended at age 3. Luo Yinyu screams in frustration, realizing she died in her second life without experiencing anything. Her shock turns to a new cry of, "What the?" as a fiery bird suddenly appears beside her in the sky. As one fiery bird flies off, an even larger flaming eagle swoops past, leaving the screaming, falling baby behind. In a snowy forest, a man with long, dark hair rests against a tree, contemplating a red and white mask. The man looks up at a streak of fire in the sky, wondering if it's a meteor. The meteor, a blazing pillar of fire, hurtles towards the ground with a powerful whoosh. The serene, snow-covered forest is about to be shattered by the fiery impact from above. The world blurs as the fiery object crashes into the snowy landscape. The man calmly raises a hand, gathering a soft white energy to counter the impact. He unleashes a powerful wave of icy energy, instantly clearing the snow and fire around him. With the area now clear, the man sits peacefully, his mask resting in his lap. The man stands, placing the eerie, smiling mask upon his face. Lying dazed in the snow, the disoriented little girl wonders who and where she is. A system notification reveals her identity as Luo Yinyu and explains that while she was meant to die, her body has been restored, leaving her shocked to be alive at only 3 years old. The masked man holds Luo Yinyu upside down by one leg, disappointed that the meteor was just this strange thing. Holding her close, the masked man asks if she's dead, and she cracks open an eye to look at him. Suddenly flustered, the masked man sweats as Luo Yinyu internally panics, wondering who this ghost-like person is and demanding to be released. The masked man is left utterly speechless as the tiny girl kicks and struggles wildly in his grip. Dazed from being held upside down, Luo Yinyu stops struggling and starts to apologize. The masked man looks down at the girl who has fainted and questions how she could pass out so easily. After a moment of silence, he dismisses the situation as unlucky and walks away, leaving her in the snow. Luo Yinyu lifts her head, waking up slumped against a horse's mane, and groggily asks where she is. She finds herself on a horse with a stern female warrior, surrounded by an entire army, and her eyes widen in fear. Her mind reels as she takes in the sight of a massive cavalry force moving through the snow. Staring at a large banner, the terrified girl realizes she's in the middle of an army corps. A soldier shouts that the kid has woken up, and a sudden buzz jolts Luo Yinyu as she is shaken awake. Luo Yinyu is shocked to learn her rider is the female Deputy General Yan Futong, and that the masked man, General Ye Qi, is nearby. She stares at Ye Qi in disbelief, realizing he is the general in command of this entire army. With sparkling eyes, she sees an opportunity and joyfully calls out, "Daddy!" to the stunned generals. Ding! A system window awards her points for shocking beyond Ji Yu and Yan Futong and stirring Ye Qi's emotions, making her realize her goal is to farm their reactions. Yan Futong yanks Luo Yinyu off the horse with a confused, "Huh?" while Ye Qi watches. Yan Futong shoves the girl into Ye Qi's arms, telling him to carry his own daughter, leaving the general completely speechless. Ye Qi holds the small girl, his masked face betraying his annoyance as she stares up at him. With a brilliant smile, Luo Yinyu reaches for Ye Qi's face, happily calling him daddy. Ye Qi leans in, his voice menacing as he asks, "Who's your daddy?" triggering another point notification as his emotions are stirred. She gleefully grabs his long hair, chanting, "Daddy!" over and over, successfully farming another point from the increasingly irritated general. While Yan Futong begs the general not to be rough, Ye Qi simply presses the child's head down onto the horse. Ye Qi inserts 2 fingers into pressure points on Luo Yinyu's neck, causing her to cry out in pain. Yan Futong trembles, thinking the terrifying rumors about the general are true and that he's even willing to harm his own daughter. After Luo Yinyu babbles nonsense, Yeti grabs her head and coldly tells her to live as a fool forever. Yi Chi casually throws the dazed and crying girl back to Yan Futong, who catches her with a concerned look. A shocking close-up reveals 7 black points embedded in Luo Yinyu's back, blocking her vital channels. Yan Futong holds the child, horrified to recognize the 7 sealed acupuncture points, and wonders what kind of evil person would do this. She then recalls the moment just before, when she saw General Ye Qi himself applying the seal. Yan Futong confronts the general in disbelief, while the now-mute Luo Yinyu simply looks up and utters, "Abba?" Without a word, Yixi takes the crying, struggling child back from his stunned deputy general. Holding the crying Luo Yinyu, Yi Qi explains that the spiritual stabilizing nail suppresses spirits and stops reincarnation. He reveals 3 more spirit-sealing nails on the back of her head, which block her spirits and key blood circulation. Luo Yinyu reacts in wide-eyed horror to the news of 3 more nails behind her head. A soldier questions the general's cruel methods, noting the nails are incredibly precious, but admits he doesn't understand, so Ye Qi orders a retreat. Held aloft by Ye Qi, Luo Yinyu struggles and internally demands to be put down. Yixi explains that making the 10 seals requires killing a dragon, questioning who would do so for a random child. He muses that the seals are for divine lineage or evil spirits, wondering what secret this little kid holds. Panicked by his stare, Luo Yinyu asks the system how to remove the seal, only to learn it costs an impossible 200,000 points. She despairs over the massive point requirement, wondering how she'll ever manage to collect that many. Looking up at the silent general, Luo Yinyu meekly calls out, "Abba, Abba." She tugs on Ye Qi's robe, complaining internally about the cheap fabric for a general's clothes. As points for stirring his emotions flood in, she gleefully tears his robe while chanting, "Abba." Scram Yixi yells, tossing the child into a nearby tree with a thwop before she drops into the snow. A loud clatter echoes as the cavalry seems to move on, leaving her behind in the snow. Pulling herself out of a snowdrift, Luo Yinyu mutters Abba and hopes she earned a lot of points. The soldiers look back in disbelief, shocked that the kid is still alive after being thrown. Sitting by a fire, Luo Yinyu laments having only 35 points and complains that Ye Qi only gives 1 point at a time. She reflects that the female general's emotions are steadier, and the other soldiers give 3 points at most. Acknowledging the army's discipline, she wonders where the cook is, who she thinks gives the most points. As Ye Qi pours ingredients into the cooking pot, Luo Yinyu curiously peeks out from behind him. Her eyes light up with hunger as she helps stir the pot, exclaiming that it smells great. Ye Qi hands her a bowl of food, and she cautiously accepts, thinking he isn't so bad after all. She recoils from the terrible taste and begins crying about how awful this life is. She approaches Ye Qi and gives his arm a tentative poke. Pointing back and forth between them, she continues to call him Ahba, Ahba. Ye Qi refuses her plea, explaining that undoing each seal will cost a decade of her own life. While she ponders who would sacrifice their life for her, hiss! Ye Qi suddenly grabs her and pulls out a seal with his glowing hand. She looks on in teary-eyed shock as he holds the black nail he just removed from her back. Believing he sacrificed 10 years of his life for her, she gratefully wipes her runny nose on his pristine robe, making him flinch. Ding! She earns 2 points for disgusting Ye Qi, amazed to finally get more than 1 point and detect a specific emotion. Realizing he has a strong dislike for dirt, she concludes that he must have mysophobia. Impressed that he removed the nail so easily, she grabs his hand and asks him what's happening. She brightly promises to buy him better clothes in the future, earning another point as he remains silent. Ye Qi looks down at her and simply asks for her name. Winking cutely, she cheerfully introduces herself as sweet little Yu. Seeing his annoyed reaction, she realizes her cute answer didn't work and wonders what to do now. She stands quietly for a moment, appearing to formulate a new plan under his intense gaze. Leaning in with a menacing aura, Yechi gives her one last chance, addressing her as Luo Yinyu. His tone shifting, Yechi calmly asks for her age. She nervously answers that she is 3 years old. She boldly asks for his name, earning another point, before an unseen force overwhelms her. Throwing a tantrum on the ground, she wails, "Abba, Abba," while Yechi watches impassively. Defeated, she lies on the ground and resigns herself to the fact that she can't win against the easily angered man. The scene transitions to the army camp, where she sits in the snow as soldiers prepare to move. A scout rushes in, reporting 20,000 enemy troops nearby, leaving Luo Yinyu completely shocked. General Ye Qi calmly orders his troops to move out and surround the enemy. As she wonders if he'll take her, Yi Si swoops in and grabs her by the leg again. He once again uses his glowing energy to forcefully pull another one of the black nails from her back. He tosses her onto a startled white horse, which lets out a loud neigh. As Ye Si orders his army to move out, Luo Yinyu panics on her horse, wondering if he's leaving her all alone. With tears welling in her star-filled eyes, she sadly wonders if there is no one left to take care of her. Her spirits lift as she sees a lone rider returning, believing someone has come back for her. The rider, revealed to be Deputy General Yan Futong, smiles warmly as she approaches the hopeful little girl. Believing she's been saved, Luo Yinyu joyfully reaches out, thinking that someone still cares. Her hope shatters as Yan Futong rides past without stopping, forcing her to realize she wasn't the target and cry out, "Wait!" Catching up, Luo Yinyu asks how many troops they have against 20,000 enemies, and Yan Futong grimly replies, 2,000! Stunned, Luo Yinyu questions the logic of 2,000 soldiers surrounding a force 10 times their size. Suddenly excited by the impossible odds, she eagerly urges her horse forward to witness the 1-on-10 battle. The horse bolts in the wrong direction and she panics, screaming for it to turn back and slow down before she falls. The white horse screeches to a halt, nearly throwing the terrified girl from its back. Awestruck, she exclaims how pretty her surroundings are, unknowingly earning 10 points as a notification reveals Biangu feels extremely wronged. Her jaw drops in shock as she finally realizes that Biangu, her biggest source of points, is actually the white horse. Clip-clop, the white horse, Biangu, trots calmly through the snowy landscape with her on its back. Exhausted from the ordeal, Luo Yinyu falls fast asleep, lulled by the horse's steady gait. She opens her eyes, waking up alone and covered in snow at the base of a large tree. Confused, she wonders where she is, spotting her horse, Biangu, grazing peacefully a short distance away. She walks barefoot through the cold snow, leaving tiny footprints behind her. Thump. She runs headfirst into a soldier's armored leg and lets out a small cry. A massive, stern-looking soldier looms over her, gruffly wondering where this fleeing refugee came from. Stomp! Reacting with disgust at his size, she shouts at the towering soldier. Crash! In a flash, she leaps onto Biangu's back to escape. Thump. Biangu rears up and delivers a powerful kick, sending the soldier flying through the air. Afterward, the white horse calmly lies down in the snow, allowing Luo Yinyu to rest beside it. Ding! She curls into a ball, clutching her stomach in pain as the system awards her points for Biangu's increasing anger. Cough. She collapses onto the ground, spitting up blood from the force of the horse's kick. She pushes herself up, glaring daggers at the white horse who remains nearby. Fuming, she realizes with indignation that the horse kicked her much harder than General Yechi ever did. As system notifications confirm Biangu is shocked and scared, she gives the horse a terrifyingly intense glare. Grabbing the reins, she declares with fierce determination that they are going to go end the enemy. Poke, poke. She approaches Biangu and quietly tells the horse to not make a sound. She struggles to drag the extremely unwilling horse toward what appears to be an enemy encampment. Peeking from behind a tent, she and Biangu secretly observe the enemy soldiers within their camp. Overhearing 2 soldiers, she learns their plan to ambush Yechi's army after it's weakened from fighting and assassinate the general himself. She sits in stunned silence with Biangu, horrified by the plot to kill the masked man. Desperate, she asks her system for help but learns she needs an impossible 50,000 points to eliminate the threat, despairing that Yachi will die. Suddenly, an idea strikes her, and she looks toward a pen of other horses before eagerly pulling Bianjiyu along. She cheerfully waves to the other horses, giving them a friendly greeting. Swoosh! In a shocking move, she grabs the tail of a brown horse, leaving the entire group of animals wide-eyed with terror. Clap! She rips the horse's entire tail off, causing the other horses to faint as the system awards points for a shocked BNGU. Whoosh! She proudly brandishes the severed tail, much to Biangu's amazed admiration. She focuses intently, attempting to tie the hairs from two different tails together. Rip! The horsehair breaks easily, making her realize she needs something stronger as she eyes a very nervous Bianjiu. Ding, a wicked grin spreads across her face as she pats Bianjiu, and a system notification awards her 100 points for finding a solution. She gasps in delight, amazed that such a wonderful reward exists. With a confident wink, she eagerly chooses to collect her points. Huh? A powerful energy suddenly surges around her as her hair flies up, completely out of her control. Rip off! She brutally tears off a chunk of Biangu's mane, causing the horse to scream as the system reports its desire to curse her. Floating in the air, she uses her newfound power to tightly tie the strong strands of horsehair together. In a furious whirlwind of activity, she zips between horses, ripping off their hair and tying it all into a single massive rope. With grim determination, she thinks that the system is forcing her to continue tying knots until the task is complete. Tighten. Finally done, she lets out a long exhale of relief as the system announces it is deactivating autopilot mode. Fall. The exhaustion hits her all at once, and she collapses to the ground, feeling herself about to pass out. Her spirit seems to leave her body as a shocked Bianjiu looks on, earning her points for the horse's worry that she's dying. The white horse, Bianjiu, gently lifts her unconscious form with its mouth. Bianjiu carries her through the snowy camp, earning her 5 more points as it feels a deep pain inside. Open. She groggily wakes up in a warm bed, completely disoriented and wondering where she is. Spotting a milk kettle on a nearby table, she giggles with delight and crawls towards it, happy to finally fill her belly. While drinking, she sees a history of points from Biangu's emotions and wonders why only he provides points and not the other horses. A holographic system window suddenly appears before her, filled with names she doesn't recognize. She recognizes the names Yan Futong and Yechi on the list of people whose emotions are providing her with points. Puzzled, she wonders if a fight broke out the previous night, and if she inadvertently did them a favor. After drinking 2 bowls, she notices the kettle hasn't gotten any lighter, and wonders if it's a bottomless pit. Round. She flops onto her back with a happy shout, delighted to discover the milk kettle really is bottomless. She wakes up on the floor to find Bianjiu sleeping soundly nearby. Crawling over to her horse, she quietly greets him. You're here. She gently pats the sleeping Bianjiu, telling him he worked hard last night. Woke up. Startled awake, Bianjiu rears back in shock with a loud bound crup and clang, knocking over a flaming brazier. Collapse. Bang. The overturned brazier spills hot coals, starting a fire as she screams and people shout alarms. Swoosh! The flames spread with terrifying speed across the wooden floor. Pulling on the reins, she yells at the silly horse to run as the fire rages and someone cries for help. She frantically chases after Bianjiu, whose tail has caught on fire. Blaze! As the entire building is consumed by fire, she escapes with Bianjiu and others, all shouting for help. Stops. Catching her breath, she looks back at the inferno, relieved to have escaped being burnt to a crisp. She stands with the soot-covered and clearly traumatized Bianjiu, holding its reins. The two stand on a wooden balcony, gazing out at a breathtaking vista of snow-capped mountains. While she admires the beautiful view, the building they just fled continues to burn furiously in the distance. Looking down from the mountain pass, she sees a sprawling settlement below and asks if it's the army camp. Far below, three figures carry supplies across a long, rickety wooden bridge leading to the camp. Peeking over a fence, she sees rows of cavalry and realizes the camp is as large as a city. Two stern guards approach her, telling the small, soot-covered girl to come with them. A large, imposing man with a thick beard is identified as Yu Huji, the Buyei Army's vice general. During a meeting, Vice General Yu Huji complains about the burnt cabin, while Generals Zhou Hong and Li Xinyuan discuss other hardships, eventually deciding to send Luo Yinyu to the imperial palace. Two officers argue, one complaining that they can't tell if General Yi is annoyed because he always wears his phantom mask. Luo Yinyu sits alone, watching a system screen display the points she's earning from the officer's frustration over the burnt cabin. A man with long brown hair, Zhou Hong, smiles down at her and asks if she's enjoying the show. Zhou Hong looks on with a smirk, thinking to himself that this little brat is quite intriguing. Vice General Yu Huji comes forward, passionately arguing that a burnt cabin is a permanent loss that will affect soldier morale. Her eyes sparkle with stars as she realizes this is a chance for more points, just as the masked General Ye Si asks if she started the fire. "It was me," she declares proudly, promising to do it again tomorrow, while steeling herself to take the blame. Fifth. Zhu Hong stifles a laugh while Li Xinyuan declares the kid has talent, and a ding signals an influx of points. Overjoyed, she sees she's earned a huge number of points from everyone's shock and disbelief, especially from a completely stunned BNGU. Hee-hey! She strikes a cute triumphant pose directly in front of the silent General Yechi. Visibly disgusted, Yisei orders his subordinates to take the devil child for a bath and keep her out. While her maids Wendong and Chui Shui bathe her, they fret over her suffering and ask if the general rescued her. She theatrically claims she fell from the heavens with a poof, boom, thud, earning points for the maids, resulting doubt and confusion. After asking why they call her young general, she learns it's rumored she's Yisi's daughter, and the maids excitedly hope she'll be the next general. One maid asks for her name, but the other quickly scolds her for such casualness before she can answer. Beaming with a wide, toothy grin from her bath, she happily introduces herself as Luo Yinyu. Her maids giggle, remarking that General Yi is amazing to be able to bear a child like her. One of the maids stares in shock, asking Luo Yinyu if her surname is really Luo. From the bath, Luo Yinyu mischievously declares that General Yi must have been cheated on. Ding! Her scandalous claim leaves both maids, Wendong and Chui Shui, utterly shocked and in disbelief, earning Luo Yinyu a flood of points. As the maids dress her, they gossip about her talent and how adorable she looks, deciding the fancy clothes are a perfect fit for the general's daughter. Luo Yinyu beams with joy, showing off her beautiful new light blue and white dress. One maid notes the fabric is exceptionally fine, and the other proudly explains it was a gift to the general from the emperor himself. Dressed in her new clothes, a smiling Luo Yinyu peeks out from behind a door, ready for her next adventure. Kick, finding BNGU draped in a ridiculous white sheet, she asks if horses wear clothes and kicks him, earning points for his indignant feelings. With her arms crossed, she demands to know why BNGU hasn't thanked her for taking the blame for the fire. As a notification shows BNGU is terrified, she grins and invites the horse to go for a stroll. She and BNGU stand at an open door, looking out into the bright, sunlit day. Whoosh! Stepping out into the snow, she turns to find BNGU shivering nervously in the doorway. Seeing the horse hesitate, she notes that he must be too cold, as the system confirms BNGU does not want to go out and is freezing. Just then, one of her maids arrives with a warm, fluffy blue blanket. She gently wraps the cozy, fur-lined blanket around BNGU, earning 5 points as the horse feels deeply touched by her kindness. Proudly leading her now warm horse, Luo Yinyu happily walks through the snowy campgrounds. They approach a man with a reddish-brown ponytail, General Yan Futong, who is sitting down as BNGU wonders what he's thinking. General Yan Futong turns and warmly compliments the young general on how good she looks in her new clothes. He then smiles and corrects her, asking her to call him General Fu instead of General Yan. Confused, she asks why, but he dismisses it as a long story and pats her head, insisting she just call him General Fu, to which she agrees. He points the way, telling her General Yi is likely in his study, and she thanks General Fu before heading off. As she walks away, she pouts, wondering what her stupid horse finds so funny. In his study, the masked General Yechi contemplates a map, muttering her name, Luo Yinyu. He recalls the report that with her power alone, she managed to control 5,000 of the enemy's horses. As he muses, Luo Yinyu cautiously peeks around the doorframe into his study. He confronts her, asking what she wants. She asks if she's a young general, and he nonchalantly tells her she can be if she wants to. She then nervously asks if the army camp is safe, and he confidently assures her it's the safest place in the entire country. Getting excited, she asks if she can explore, but he coldly dismisses her, telling her to leave. She happily shouts, "Oki!" with a playful salute before turning to leave. Leading BNGU away, she thinks to herself how surprisingly easy the masked man was to deal with. Staring out at the mountains, she takes stock of her points, realizing she's still 80,000 short of her goal. An idea suddenly strikes her. If every soldier in the camp just gave her 1 point, she'd have more than enough. A devious grin spreads across her face as she plots to farm emotions from all the soldiers. Pull! Eagerly tugging on the reins, she tells BNGU to follow her as a notification shows the horse is suffering. Tight, she yanks the reins hard, nearly choking the startled BNGU who is frozen with fear. She looks up at the large wooden structures of the camp, ready to begin her mission. Arriving in a bustling area, she's quickly surrounded by curious soldiers who admire her, earning her a stream of points as they offer her a sweet potato. After happily accepting food from the friendly soldiers, she announces she's going for a stroll and heads off. She wanders through the active camp with BNGU, observing men digging ditches and forging weapons. Munching on an apple, she wonders why they're so busy preparing for battle when the enemy was supposedly defeated. Frown. She suddenly recalls seeing a detailed map of the Imperial Palace, including hidden pathways in General Yechi's study. A look of horror dawns on her face as she wonders if the masked man is planning a rebellion. Meanwhile, General Yishi stands silently in the wreckage of the cabin, thinking about how it burned down in only 2 minutes. He finds it strange that even Biangu's fire-resistant fur was completely charred. His gaze falls upon the perfectly intact milk kettle lying amongst the charred debris. He spots a small, unextinguished flame on a piece of wood and wonders if it could be an immortal flame. In a flashback, he recalls Yan Futong reporting that Luo Yinyu fell asleep and he instructed him to place a brazier nearby to keep them warm. Yan Futong carefully sets down the brazier filled with glowing embers next to where they would sleep. Swoosh! Yi-Si casually picks a single, intensely hot ember from the brazier with his bare fingers, observes its power, then places it back before dismissing his subordinate. Swish! As Yi-Si disperses the flame, he has a shocking realization. He himself was the real culprit behind the cabin fire. Luo Yinyu spots him amidst the wreckage, stunned to realize the masked man was actually there. Heh! She giggles and runs to give him a big hug. As she clings to his leg, he internally compares her spiky hair to a green sea urchin. With sparkling eyes and a huge smile, she looks up and calls him Daddy. BZZZT! She rubs her face against his robes, generating a surprising amount of static electricity. Looking at her static-charged reflection in a mirror, she wonders if she's become an electric generator, while Ye-Si watches in silence. Bian-Ji-Yu rolls on the floor, laughing hysterically at her hair until she furiously calls him useless, earning her 99 points for his emotional damage. Whoa! She celebrates, amazed that she can earn so many points from the horse's feelings. She sweetly calls him Daddy again, but Yi-Si bluntly tells her he's not her dad. Unfazed, she instinctively gives him a thumbs up and cheekily offers to be his dad instead. He holds up a small black nail, asking how she even knew to keep it hidden there. Covering her mouth, he notes how scared she is and asks why she's so wary of him. She thinks about him pinning her down before, as he explains that unlocking a single soul-sealing nail costs 10 years of a person's life. She is horrified to learn that unlocking a nail actually takes up someone's life force. She promises to treat him well in the future, but he clarifies that it's her life being consumed, not his, before grabbing her to go with him. He pulls open a door and shoves her onto a bed, leaving her to wonder what he's planning now. She struggles, calling him a pervert, but he retorts he's only interested in her seal, not a green sea urchin like her. He explains her seal is the legendary 10 seals of the Dragon Shrine, the strongest in the world, which he cannot undo, adding she'll only live for 3 more years. She confirms the grim diagnosis. He explains he only removed a loose nail, and the other 6 are stuck, causing her to droop with despair. He privately muses on her strange abilities and how something must have strengthened her core for a nail to loosen in the first place. Poof. Her hair spikes up as she gets a brilliant idea, much to his amusement. She declares that she will strengthen her core to loosen the other nails, vowing to undo the seal, while he notes the 3 nails on her head have sealed her talent. He explains that the Dragon Shrine seals are for gods and demons, reiterating that undoing them is incredibly difficult. Changing the subject, she asks why the bronze pot of milk is endless as he pours her a cup. Annoyed, he asks what she just called him, and she reminds him that he forbade her from calling him Daddy. He clenches his jaw, silently seething with irritation. She timidly suggests calling him Uncle Yisi instead. Looking defeated, she wonders aloud if she will even survive long enough to have a future. He tells her to sleep early and prepares to leave. She quickly tugs on his robe, reminding him he hasn't returned the spirit-sealing nail. Realizing she's smart enough to know its value, he decides it would be unreasonable not to return it to her. She grins mischievously as she holds out her hand for the returned nail. He glares, clearly annoyed by her clever persistence. Outside with BNGU, she worries that she's still missing 70,000 points and needs to farm them from enemy soldiers. Feeling hopeful, she decides 3 years is enough time to get points from the masked man and beyond GU, then happily skips off humming. She and her fluffy horse walk through the snowy camp towards a man with a hammer. She looks around, confused, wondering what the soldiers are building. A passing soldier compliments the young miss on her nice new clothes. The bearded Vice General Yu Heji ruffles her hair, teasingly calling her a green radish. Bianji snickers at the comment. Ha ha ha. Yu Heji and Bianji erupt in laughter, thoroughly humiliating her. She takes a cautious step back from the jeering man and his horse. Furious, she yells that they are the ones who look like green radishes. Boom! She launches herself forward, delivering a powerful headbutt right into Yu Heji's gut. Thud! The force of the blow sends them both flying into a large puddle of mud. She stands up covered in mud, leaving a stunned Yu Heji sitting in the puddle as other soldiers stare in disbelief. Bam! Bam! She furiously pummels the dazed Yu Heji while sitting on his chest. Pointing accusingly, she scolds him for daring to bully her, earning 9 points from his bewildered confusion. Now in the discussion hall, a bruised Yu Heji complains to the masked Yichi that he was only joking with the young miss. He gestures wildly at the mud-splattered Luo Yinyu and BNGU, demanding to know what kind of lady behaves this way. Standing beside her equally muddy horse, Luo Yinyu looks down as drops of mud fall from her clothes. Yisi remains silent, causing him emotional turmoil and earning her 1 point before swish. He instantly appears before her. Luo Yinyu and BNGU stare up with wide eyes as the imposing masked general looms over them. Without a word, he grabs them both and throws a terrified BNGU out of the building. Thud! The long-suffering BNGU lands hard in the snow, crying out in misery. Ding! Seeing Yasi's emotional turmoil net her 2 more points, she realizes she needs to flee immediately. Yu Heji is also thrown out of the hall as he futilely pleads that he was a victim too. As Yu Heji falls, his heart sinks, earning her 9 points, while a heartbroken BNGU nets her an incredible 99 points. She sticks her tongue out and makes a mocking face at the defeated Vice General Yu Heji. Watching from a distance, the long-haired Yan Futong smiles, clearly amused by the chaotic scene. As Yan Futong calls Yu Huji a fool, the scene shifts to a maid helping Luo Yinyu into a hot bath to warm up. The maid gently wipes Luo Yinyu's face, defending her actions and insisting, "General, you shouldn't have blamed her." Vindicated, Luo Yinyu fiercely agrees, declaring that he was the one who started it. Her two maids look on with shocked but supportive expressions. Realizing she can gain points from her maid's support, she beams as one of them, Chuai Shui, promises to make her braised pork. Her eyes turn to sparkling stars as she hears the magical words, braised pork. Now clean and dressed, she sits with chopsticks in hand, blissfully chanting, braised pork, over and over. Chusui brings her a bowl, sheepishly admitting it's her first time cooking the dish. Luo Yinyu looks down at the steaming bowl of meat, thinking that it at least looks good. She eagerly picks up a piece of pork with her chopsticks. She opens her mouth wide to take a big bite of the braised pork. Droop. Her hopes are dashed as she realizes it tastes terrible, only for her hair to poof up in shock when Chuishu offers her more. Run! She makes a mad dash for the door as her maids plead for her to return since her hair is still wet. Thud, thud, thud. She flees through the camp, shouting that she's not hungry anymore. Exhausted, she finally stops beside a white horse in the snowy woods, relieved that she managed to escape the bad food. She watches as a military leader addresses a group of downtrodden refugees, understanding their concerns about their place in the camp. She and her white horse observe the anxious faces of the refugees listening to the officer. The officer berates the refugees, calling them parasites who have lost their will to fight and are just waiting to die. Bam! A young man from the crowd slams his fist, angrily retorting that it's easy to talk when you haven't lost your own home and beliefs. The young man passionately reveals he was also a refugee, and that 80% of the Buyuyi Army's soldiers are former refugees like them. He points towards the training grounds, challenging them to ask if the soldiers there don't bleed the same blood as they do. He proclaims that all the soldiers training were once refugees too, just like them. Sitting thoughtfully, she wonders what those soldiers must have gone through to transform from refugees into warriors. The young man rips his shirt open to reveal a golden tribal tattoo, declaring that while their tribes may be lost, their spirits live on. Rallied by his speech, the other refugees raise their fists in newfound determination. Deeply moved, she listens as a general recounts his own story of being taken in as useless trash and rising through the ranks over 5 years. The general, Li, clenches his fist and challenges them, asking if he could achieve this, why can't they? He triumphantly calls for them all to train together, moving the formerly hopeless men to tears. As General Li runs off to begin training, a folded piece of paper falls unnoticed from his robe. Her curiosity piqued, she crouches down and picks up the mysterious note. Her eyes widen in shock as she reads the note and realizes it's a pre-written script of the emotional speech General Li just gave. Ding! The young man from before excitedly points at her, earning her 9 points from his emotion. He introduces himself as Dongguo Yi and asks for her name, leaving her to wonder why he's so excited. Annoyed by his questions, her rude silence angers him, earning her 20 more points. He leans in close, warning her that bad uncles might eat her, making her wonder if he's talking about the soldiers. Overwhelmed by his annoying persistence, she feels her nose tickle and erupts with a giant "ah" right in his face. Sneeze splatters all over a stunned Dongguo Yi as Luo Yinyu innocently tugs on his sleeve. She sweetly asks if he really wants to know her name, much to his growing annoyance. Leaning down with a stern expression, he confirms that he does want to know her name. He tries to bribe her with candy, but his friendly demeanor shifts to a menacing one as his murderous intent nets her 33 points. BZZZT, BZZZT, blue electricity crackles around her as she realizes in terror that this man is a cultivator, just like the masked man. Bam, he grabs her head, his hand sparking with intense electrical energy. Ah! He screams in pain as the electricity backfires, shocking him instead. Ha! She unleashes her own power, throwing a determined punch. Crack! Her small fist shatters the bones in his arm on impact. Ow, ah! The force of her blow sends both Dongguo Yi and another man flying through the snow. Sob, sob. He sits crying with a bandaged face as she watches, then he wails for the commander, declaring that she's crazy and he quits the army. The other recruits look on with curiosity, earning her 1 point from each of them. A muscular commander arrives and asks what's happening, while Dongguo Yi complains that the Bu Yi army has no rules if the young miss is allowed to curse and attack people. She internally fumes that the commander is siding with her attacker, who then points at her and calls her a bastard child raised by Ye Qi. Pow! She slaps him across the face, shouting that his whole family are the bastard children, shocking the onlookers. Pow! Pow! She furiously pummels the man as he lies on the ground. System notifications flood in as Liu Miaozi, Ma Hongtu, Zhang Liba, and Li F. Asai all react in shock, earning her 9 points each. She happily thanks them. A man with long brown hair named Zhou Hong appears, calling for the young miss and surprising her with his presence. Zhou Hong smiles warmly, informing her that General Ye has summoned her. In the main hall, a bruised and defeated Dongguo Yi sits on the floor before Luo Yinyu. She looks up at the masked Ye Qi, who sits on his throne, flanked by Zhou Hong and another attendant. She reports to Yi Si that the man on the floor called her a bastard child. Yi Si remains silent, his masked face unreadable as he observes the scene. The other attendant questions the bruised man, who introduces himself as Li Xinliang. Zhou Hong reacts in surprise, questioning the man about his name and tribe. The man claims he was lost as a child and doesn't know his tribe, but Luo Yinyu knows he's lying since the system identified him as Dongguo Yi. A soldier excitedly tells Zhou Hong to summon General Li Xinyuan, declaring they've found his long-lost younger brother, much to Luo Yinyu's confusion. Zhou Hong beams with joy, confirming the details match and celebrating the reunion after so many years of searching. Luo Yinyu and Dongguo Yi are both utterly shocked by the younger brother revelation. Pondering Yi Qi's calm demeanor, she consults her system for Dongguo Yi's true identity, grumbling when she sees the high price of 100,000 points versus a cheaper 500-point option. Tap. She quickly selects the second, more affordable option on the system screen. She's shocked to learn he's a spy, as the supposed long-lost brother is happily embraced by an officer. Sigh. She lets out a weary breath, steeling herself for what's next. She points dramatically, exposing the man's lie and revealing his true name is Dongguo Yi, a spy. So Dongguo Yi collapses to his knees in terror as her accusation hangs in the air. The system awards her 99 points for his terror and disbelief, as he calls her a devil and vows his brother will avenge him. Turning to the throne, she challenges Ye Qi, asking whether he believes her or the man on the floor. Behind his mask, Ye Qi's eyes curve into a sinister smile. Earning 1 point from Ye Qi's stirred emotions, she watches as he challenges her to kill the spy herself, throwing a sword that flies towards her with a swoosh. Clang. The sword lands right in front of her feet, causing her to yelp in shock. Panicking, she thinks that she's never killed anyone before, while Yi Si mocks her sudden fear after being so confident in her accusation. I'm not. She yells back defiantly, though a sweat drop betrays her fear. Yi Si calmly commands her to kill the spy, warning that the Bu Yi army has no place for liars, and she will pay the price if she's wrong. While she stammers that she didn't lie, an attendant forces a dagger into her hand as Dongguo Yi frantically pleads his innocence. Trembling, she is forced to turn and face the terrified man with the dagger in her hand. Realizing he's cornered, Dongguo Yi unleashes a menacing red aura from his fist, shouting that they forced his hand, shocking Luo Yinyu. Swoosh! In a blur, Ye Qi appears from his throne, his hand outstretched to disperse the spy's dark energy. With a swift kick, Ye Qi knocks the man down, then grabs Luo Yinyu's wrist and forces the dagger into the spy's back with a sickening spurt. Her face splattered with blood, she stares blankly ahead in horror, her small hand still clutching the hilt of the dagger. In a state of shock, she stands over the bleeding body of the spy, her clothes stained red as Yacy looks on. Luo Yinyu stands defiantly before the masked man, her face and clothes splattered with blood as she clutches a small blade. The masked man gently wipes the blood from her cheek with a cloth, asking how many outfits she needs to change in a day. After being cleaned, she silently follows the masked man and his subordinate out of the room. Alone in the vast, moonlit snowscape, she sits and thinks to herself that this world is too scary. Upset, she huddles in the snow, frustrated that she's searched for hours but still can't find what she's looking for. Tears welling in her eyes, she worries that he will punish her if he finds out about her secret search. Her search is interrupted as she spots a man carrying a torch, recognizing him as Li Xinyuan. Holding his torch aloft, a panicked Li Xinyuan declares that he's doomed and must find the missing item. Luo Yinyu appears before him, holding out a small scroll and asking if this is what he seeks. Snatch. He quickly snatches the scroll from her hand. He stares intensely at the scroll, sweating with nervous energy. With a sigh of relief, he burns the scroll in the flame of his torch. Turning to her with a nervous laugh, he makes small talk about dinner, but she bluntly replies that she hasn't eaten. As she holds up the charred remains of the scroll, he panics and makes an excuse to leave, claiming General Zhou is looking for him. He mentions her long-lost younger brother, Li Xinliang, before rushing off, leaving her utterly confused. Inside a grand hall, a subordinate reports to Yacy that the day's events are recorded. Yacy wonders how she knew the spy was from the Dongguo family. A woman praises the young Mrs. knowledge, but Yi clarifies she just has secrets. As the woman burns the scroll, Yacy tells her to stop asking about the child, whom she notes makes him smile. The woman cheerfully explains that she heard stories of his heroic youth from a man named Zhang the Lame. She asks Yacy why old Zhang told her so much, innocently stating that they are close. With a menacing glare, Yishi warns her to stop digging into his past. The woman quickly apologizes while her male colleague changes the subject, praising the young Mrs. Wild and amazing character. Yacy calmly corrects them, reiterating his strange claim that she simply dropped from the sky. The woman confirms that Zhang the Lame told her the same story, then promises to stop talking about Yacy's past. While his subordinates argue about whether she's mischievous or cunning, Yacy declares his intention to make her the future general of the Buye army. His two subordinates are left completely speechless and bewildered by his shocking announcement. Returning to her room, Luo Yinyu is greeted by her two shocked maids, Wen Dong and Cui Chu, who see she's covered in blood, earning her 198 points. The maids frantically ask if she's hurt, but she nonchalantly explains that she just stabbed a mosquito nest. Her bizarre explanation leaves the maids confused, earning her more points as they decide to get her into a hot bath. After her bath, Luo Yinyu sleeps soundly, breathing peacefully. The white horse BNGU is also shown sleeping comfortably, both on a pillow and curled up in the snow. Boom. The horse is rudely awakened as Luo Yinyu lands on its back, then begins pouring a liquid into a bowl. The horse is shocked awake as she casually steps on its head. As she happily drinks what appears to be milk, the system awards her points for Biangu's resulting anger and frustration. General Fu asks the maids where the young miss is, and they inform her she's asleep, surprised Fu waited all night. Despite their suggestion to rest, General Fu insists on waiting for Luo Yinyu to wake up. Waking up, Luo Yinyu wonders why General Fu is waiting so urgently and decides to investigate. She prepares to go outside by stepping onto her trusty steed Beyond GU. She cautiously peeks out the door to see who is waiting. Outside, General Fu greets the young miss with a slightly strained smile. A man in blue robes suddenly appears, cheerfully declaring he arrived at the perfect time, much to General Fu's annoyance. Both General Fu and the man in blue grab onto Luo Yinyu, arguing that she must learn theory before starting cultivation. They bicker over teaching methods, with General Fu calling the man's theory a path to doom while he boasts of being an icon of strength. As Luo Yinyu wonders what the fuss is about, Yiqi appears in the snow and declares that he will personally teach her. Standing over the bickering pair, Yi instructs the young miss to comb her hair before coming to his study. A surprised Luo Yinyu agrees, thrilled at the prospect of being taught by the masked man himself. The man in blue taunts General Fu for her wasted all-night vigil, causing her to draw her sword as he yelps for help. Luo Yinyu looks on in stunned silence, realizing with delight that they're actually going to fight. Pacing outside Yexi's study, she nervously wonders what he plans to teach her, hoping it's not a rebellion. Bam! Just as she hesitates, Yexi opens the study door, revealing her now dressed in a new yellow outfit. She greets him with a cheerful wave and a bright smile, leaving him silently picturing a pineapple in confusion. After finding her loitering, the masked man Yexi grabs Luo Yinyu and tells her to come inside his study. He gently places her on the floor, where she looks up at him with wide, curious eyes. Inside, Luo Yinyu nervously gazes in awe at the numerous detailed maps hanging on the wall. Confused, she asks if she can reconsider joining the rebellion, citing the palace maps and weapon-making refugees as clear evidence of his plans, but he denies starting one. Yiche coolly states he has no interest in ruling humanity, leaving her to silently question his noble-sounding but contradictory intentions. After she grabs his robe, he casually throws her onto a seat and announces he will teach her strategy, war, and killing. When she asks why he must teach her such things, Yexi cryptically promises to tell her someday in the future. Leaning in with a knowing smile, he adds that cultivating isn't a good idea for her right now anyway. As she thinks about how cultivating will loosen her seal within 3 years, Yexi suddenly leans in, startling her. He stares into her eyes and astutely asks if her soul is actually older than 3 years, shocking her completely. She panics internally, wondering how he could possibly know her secret, and worrying that she acted too maturely. Sweating nervously, she decides to try and bluff her way out of the situation. Attempting to sound like a child, she asks a nonsensical question about wine drunk by an ancient emperor. Yitai expresses surprise that she knows poetry, but seems suspicious of her sudden change in topic. BZZT. He touches her ear with a crackle of blue energy, causing her to flinch in surprise. Yisai reveals that a soul-sealing nail has loosened, allowing her energy to surface, and connects this impossible event to the mismatch between her soul and her age. Poke! He zaps her forehead with lightning, making her hair stand on end, and identifies her energy as lightning before she tells him to stop playing around. He explains that breaking her seal is incredibly difficult as it's suppressed by a dragon, and she realizes the immense danger she is in. Yixi promises to help undo the seals on her back, but admits he cannot help with the soul-bound nails in her head. He suggests she try strengthening her soul through methods like dream control and focus. Grasping her shoulders, he tells her that, since he's helping her, she will have to help him in return. She readily agrees, asking him to tell her what she needs to do. Claiming he needs money, he brings in a large basin of mysterious liquid, leaving her to wonder if he's dying and what the strange concoction is for. Clang. He sets the heavy basin down with a loud thud, startling her. After confirming she has no more questions, he announces they will begin her body tempering and turns her to face the basin. Luo Yinyu stands perplexed before the large basin filled with a shimmering, mysterious blue liquid. Her face contorts in absolute shock and horror as she realizes what might be coming next. Looking like a mad scientist, Yexi pours a steaming green liquid into the basin as Luo Yinyu watches in disgust. He proceeds to add a purple liquid and a handful of colorful, sparkling crystals to the bubbling mixture. Swoosh! He ignites a talisman and throws it in, causing the concoction to erupt with brilliant blue energy. He calmly stirs the steaming, bubbling blue brew with a large wooden paddle. With the potion ready, Yexi turns to her and announces it's time to begin. Staring with a look of pure disbelief, she can't believe they're starting just like that. Yexi stops her, asking what she's doing, and she explains that novels say body tempering is done by bathing. Who said you are bathing in it? He asks with a grin. Drink it. Her world shatters as she screams in horror. Gulp. Ignoring her panic, he forces the massive bowl of the strange brew to her lips and tells her to drink quickly. As she drinks, he explains that body tempering is usually done after cultivation, but her seal requires they do it in reverse. Their goal is to strengthen her core first to loosen the seal, allowing her to cultivate later. He cheerfully adds that those who can't endure the process explode, and he's curious to see if she will survive. With her hair standing on end, she chugs the liquid, miserably wondering if she's just become his lab rat. After finishing, she declares she isn't full, only for him to offer another bowl, sending her into a new wave of despair. While more liquid is prepared, Iki decides to begin her education, telling her to memorize some cultivation basics. Eager to learn, she nods enthusiastically, grabbing a brush and paper to take notes. He begins by explaining the four martial realms from lowest to highest: sky, black, earth, and the rarely achieved gold. She diligently writes down the names of the four martial realms as he lists them. He asks if he's speaking too fast, but she assures him she can keep up and urges him to continue. He then describes the 5 regions of their land, explaining they are in the poor, cold north and at war with the Hanlian nation. She has a spark of insight, correctly deducing the 5 regions correspond to the 4 cardinal directions plus the center. The masked Yi Si explains that a dangerous land called the Ghost Region splits the 4 Great Lands. Luo Yinyu excitedly asks if there are ghosts, and he confirms the region is full of vicious demons and ghouls. Unafraid, she declares she will just fight them, a reaction that stuns Yichi and earns her 1 point for his emotional change. She asks about his homeland, Beiyu Nation, and he explains its poor state while stirring a large, ominous pot. Ignoring her questions about other military threats, he announces it's time to continue her body tempering over a cauldron of glowing blue liquid. Standing before the cauldron of blue flames, he ominously commands a nervous Luo Yinyu to open her mouth. Resigned to her fate, she opens her mouth wide, knowing she cannot escape what's coming. He proceeds to pour the entire massive cauldron of glowing blue liquid down her throat. She describes an intense, hot sensation, like her blood is boiling and her cells are rapidly splitting and recombining. When he moves to destroy the remaining energy, she protests that it's a waste, surprising him with her concern. Swoosh! She cleverly suggests feeding the rest to her horse, BNGU, whose terror earns her 99 points. The scene shifts to a snowy mountain where a man named General Fu dodges an attack from another man, Zhu Hong. Clang! Zhou Hong unleashes a volley of daggers, calling his opponent a coward for only dodging. Watching soldiers reveal the duel is over, Zhou Hong mocking the young miss, which angered the already moody General Fu. A soldier reflects that Zhou Hong's charming smile is a facade for his cunning and treacherous nature. Crack! General Fu retaliates by slamming his sword into the ground, causing a wave of sharp ice spikes to erupt. As some soldiers cheer for General Fu, another man eagerly collects bets on the fight's outcome. Convinced of General Fu's victory, the soldiers confidently place large bets, hoping to win big. Swoosh! Zhou Hong effortlessly avoids a strike and vanishes into thin air, leaving General Fu shocked. In an instant, Zhu Hong reappears behind him with a blade to his throat, declaring his victory. As General Fu fumes over the loss, the bookie celebrates his big win and vanishes with all the wagered money. The soldiers realize they were scammed by Zhou Hong's lackey, who smugly calls them fools. The 2 cheated commanders furiously chase the scammer through the snow, demanding their money back. Zhu Hong is suddenly startled as his white horse rears up unexpectedly. Bam! He is sent flying by a powerful kick from his own horse, BNGU, as an unseen person cheers the horse on. The defeated commanders demand Zhou Hong return their money, but he slyly reminds them that gambling is forbidden. Outmaneuvered and defeated, the 2 angry commanders can only stand by as Zhu Hong kneels silently in the snow. Tap, 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 Luo Yinyu arrives, explaining she had to chase after her speedy horse. She stops, her attention caught by the money scattered across the snow, and wonders who it belongs to. Zhou Hong watches her, musing that Ye Qi must be satisfied with his choice for the next general after she solved the spy incident. Deciding it's not worth offending the future general, Zhou Hong resolves to let her have the money. Ding! She innocently asks if the money belongs to the commanders, whose panic and speechlessness earn her more points. Ju-hong cleverly declares the money ownerless and gives it to her, enraging the commanders who call him a suck-up. As she happily collects the coins, the system reveals Ju-hong is cursing her internally, earning her another 10 points. As she counts her winnings, Jo-hong begrudgingly acts as her attendant, realizing he must submit to the future general. With her coin pouch now full, she cheerfully grabs Byung-gu's reins, ready to depart. She drags the unwilling horse up a steep, snowy slope, earning a flood of points from its fear and worry. Hiding nearby, the two commanders hear noises and worry that the young miss is trying to eat Ye-si's pet horse. One of them dismisses the idea, believing she wouldn't dare harm the general's prized animal. Determined to reclaim their money, they hatch a plan to beat the young miss until she gives it back. Bam! Just as the two fools finalize their plan, the door to the building bursts open. They stare in disbelief as Luo Yinyu emerges, dragging the seemingly lifeless body of the horse behind her. A close-up reveals BNGU is merely playing dead, complete with crossed-out eyes and a lolling tongue. Classic horseplay. Believing the act, the two commanders are horrified, concluding that she actually killed the general's horse. She turns to their hiding spot with a sly smile, shocking them by asking what they're doing there. Terrified that she killed the boss's pet, the commanders abandon their plan, while she inwardly notes she never lost the money anyway. Later, her maids proudly present her with 2 new, improved versions of braised pork belly to try. Traumatized, she screams in terror, her hair standing on end as she refuses to eat anything but milk. Swoosh! As her 2 maids watch from a doorway, Luo Yinyu sprints out into the snowy landscape. Elsewhere, 2 men gossip in the snow, spreading a rumor that the young miss killed General Ye-chi's favorite horse. Thud, 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 her small green boots pound against the ground as she runs through the village. Swoosh! She comes to a sudden dramatic stop in a cloud of snow, startling 2 onlookers. Her system confirms their fear, awarding her 3 points for Kwang Ong-ran's shock and 5 for Xu Zhanmu's fright. As more men react with fear, she gains another 8 points from Pan Wen-shu, who stands his ground. HSSS's skidding to an emergency brake, she holds a thermos and asks why everyone is so scared of her. The terrified men flee, one screaming that the living king of Underworld has arrived as she gains more points from their terror. Holding her thermos, a confused Luo Yinyu is surrounded by question marks, wondering what just happened. Knock knock, the sound echoes through the quiet, snowy village as the scene transitions. A masked man peeks around a corner, reporting that the young miss who killed Lord Byung-gu has appeared in the vicinity. At a stall, Luo Yinyu demands a sugar candy from a nervous vendor named Wang, threatening to punch him if he refuses. She sternly insists he take the money, repeating her threat to punch him if he doesn't comply. The vendor, Sugar Man Wang, trembles as he takes the coin, earning her another 10 points for his terror. Knock, knock, knock. The masked observer continues to report on her movements, tracking her from one stall to the next. The scout reports to a superior who sighs, wondering how a smart person like him ended up with such incompetent subordinates. The scout is shocked as his boss, Zhou Hong, appears behind him, asking what he discovered while stalking the young miss. Zhou Hong cheekily instructs him to stop spying and instead tell the 2 commanders that the young miss is eating a sugar candy man. He cheerfully dismisses the kneeling scout, sending him on his way with a mischievous smile. Swoosh! The scene transitions across the snowy landscape. Swoosh! The masked scout leaps across the snow-covered rooftops, rushing to deliver the message. He bursts in and frantically reports a twisted version of the news. The young miss is eating people while having sugar. Zhou Hong stands alone with a self-satisfied smile, his manipulative plan having worked perfectly. Unaware of the chaos, Luo Yinyu celebrates gaining a steady stream of points and feels safe with her enhanced protections. Wondering if she will become even more beautiful, she opens a door with a wicked grin. Nay reflected in Byung-gu's terrified eye, her silhouette causes the horse extreme shock, earning her 99 points. Luo Yinyu watches from the window as the panicked horse bolts, galloping away through the deep snow. In a dark room, men argue over a story being told about a faraway market, with one insisting it's right next door. A group huddles around a single candle as a storyteller begins a spooky tale about that same market. He claims that while the young miss seems innocent by day, she undergoes a terrifying transformation at night. The storyteller continues, describing how she becomes a jumping zombie on the full moon as his listeners wrap themselves tightly in their blankets. He concludes that she eats people whole, warning them to stay inside at night as his audience trembles in fear. The terrified listeners absorb the horrifying tale until one realizes with dread that tonight is a full moon and the room falls silent. One man desperately needs the toilet but is too afraid to go, while another scolds him for forgetting the monster outside. Opening the door, two men are stunned to see a glowing spectral horse they recognize as Lord Bngu. Thud. Believing it's a vengeful ghost, they run for their lives, begging it not to haunt them and blaming the young miss for its demise. The ghost of Bngu looks down in utter confusion, wondering when and how it supposedly died. Nay, a notification reveals the horse's body has been altered by the tempering liquid as it lets out a powerful cry. Its glowing spiritual form suddenly collapses, separating from a shadowy figure as it faints. Hiding behind a tree, Luo Yinyu giggles and thanks her friends for helping her rack up so many points. Whoosh! The scene shifts to a snowy mountain where Ye Qi and Zhou Hong are engaged in a swift sword fight. Swish in a flash, Ye Qi appears behind Zhou Hong, his blade at his neck, ending their duel. Zhou Hong praises Ye Qi's swordsmanship, but Ye Qi critiques his aura, advising him to better attune his breathing to the snow. Laughing, Zhou Hong calls the advice too profound and asks to see the new information instead, which Ye Qi passes to him. After reading the scroll, Zhou Hong reports that both princesses are en route and will arrive in 2 days. Ye Qi orders him to cause trouble to keep the princesses away, then asks about Luo Yinyu's refusal to eat properly. Zhou Hong shares his and the maid's anxieties, worrying that only drinking milk is not enough for the growing child. Ye Qi simply hums an acknowledgement, his masked face giving nothing away. Outside a wooden building, the white horse, beyond Gu, paws restlessly at the snow. Push. Luo Yinyu opens the door to the building where the horse is waiting. Luo Yinyu pets beyond Gu, marveling at how well the body-tempering liquid seems to be working for him. As Bianjiu snorts in anger, the system awards her points, bringing her total to 135,000, much to her delight. Her two maids, Wendong and Tri Sui, rush towards her in the snow, cheerfully announcing that she's in luck. Remaining silent, Luo Yinyu cheekily tugs on the reins of a very disgruntled-looking Bianjiu. When the maids offer food, she refuses, but they praise the cooking of a butler Zhang, piquing her interest as Bianjiu stops in his tracks. Biangu's mood instantly brightens, earning her 5 points, and she wonders why he seems so expectant of this stranger. An elderly man with white hair, Butler Zhang, arrives and asks if this is the young miss. While Ye Si confirms she's quite naughty, Zhang simply finds her adorable. Butler Zhang smiles kindly as he pulls out several neatly wrapped food bundles from his large pack. He hands her warm milk pancakes and cookies, promising to cook for her from now on since the army food is terrible, as he gently pats her head. Overjoyed, Luo Yinyu clutches the food and wonders why this kind grandpa is being so nice to her upon their first meeting. Thud. To her horror, she accidentally drops the precious bundles of food onto the snow. As she panics over the waste, Butler Zhang facepalms, remarking on how clumsy she is because she's so young and small. Zhang offers her a special bag, but Ye Qi intervenes, complaining that Zhang is using his precious ingredients and a metal panel he provided. Zhang argues the panel would ruin the food's flavor. Ye Qi reminds Zhang he provided 2 bags for separating ingredients, then laughs and offers him a red money pouch, asking if it's enough. Butler Zhang gratefully accepts the pouch, assuring Ye Qi that it is more than enough. Clutching her food bundles, Luo Yinyu quietly observes the exchange between the two men. Yi Shi suddenly turns to Butler Zhang with a menacing glare, asking, "You dare," which startles Luo Yinyu. As Zhang pleads with his lord not to be so fierce, Luo Yinyu has a flash of insight, realizing she's just discovered the masked man's weakness. Playing innocent, she tells Grandpa Butler she doesn't know how to use the pouch he gave her, and he kindly offers to teach her. He demonstrates how to use the magical pouch, making the food bundles in her hands disappear safely inside it. Zhang places the storage pouch around her neck and she thanks him with a happy hug. Yishi watches her act, privately recalling how she coldly stabbed a spy just days ago and wondering why she hides that ruthless side from Zhang. Changing the subject, Yishi notes that it's getting late, prompting Zhang to offer to cook a meal for the hungry young miss. Butler Zhang agrees with a warm smile. Holding hands with Zhang, Luo Yinyu walks away with him as Yechi watches them go. Hei Yishi's voice cuts through the air, menacingly asking if she thought she could skip today's body tempering session. Startled, Luo Yinyu freezes, still holding onto Butler Zhang's hand. With tears in her eyes, she asks Grandpa Butler to wait for her, promising to have a meal with him after her training. Yisai grabs her and drags her away, telling her to stop talking as she waves a tearful goodbye. Butler Zhang urges her to go quickly, saying her training is important, and heads off to start cooking. Back in the study, Yesi mocks her for acting like an obedient child in front of the butler, calling her two-faced. She retorts that he's just as obedient to Zhang, but he cuts her off, daring her to keep talking after she endures the next round of body tempering. Gulp Yi-Chi smiles sadistically as Luo Yinyu is forced to drink from the basin of blue liquid once again. Ugh. This time the liquid is intensely painful, and she convulses on the table, overwhelmed by the agony. Transforming into an angry kitten, she demands to know what he gave her. He casually explains he upgraded the formula to be 20 times faster, and asks if she wants more. Ugh. She groans, clenching her fists as waves of pain rack her small body. Yi Si simply watches with an unnerving smile as she writhes in agony. After she catches her breath, he calmly pats her back to comfort her, before suddenly flipping her over on the table. Looming over her exhausted form, he taunts her, asking if she'll dare challenge him again, but she seems lost in thought. Mustering her strength, she sits up and defiantly declares that she will dare again next time. Donston. A crack appears in Yusi's smiling mask as the system begins to register an emotional change. Drip, drip. She calmly squeezes the remaining liquid from a towel, seemingly recovered. Yichai's sinister smile returns as the system confirms his emotional change has awarded her another point. After sprinkling the water, she cleverly jumps off the table and runs out the door, waving goodbye and earning yet another point from Yesa's reaction. Whoa. Back from her ordeal, she is greeted by a magnificent feast laid out on the table. The camera zooms in on a glistening, perfectly roasted pork knuckle. Her eyes gleam with star-like excitement as she prepares to feast. Scoop! She digs in, realizing the local cuisine is delicious when prepared by a skilled cook like Butler Zhang, who gently advises her to eat slowly. From outside, Beyond Gu watches with a furious expression as Luo Yinyu happily enjoys the entire meal by herself. Nay, fed up with being excluded, the angry white horse charges into the room. The little girl scolds her angry white horse, Beyond Gu, telling it not to make a ruckus as she's brought food for them both. The old butler takes the horse's reins as it looks on doubtfully. Nay. Suddenly, Beyond Gu bolts out the open gate. Nay. From outside, the horse hears 3 men feasting, declaring the roasted sheep too good to waste on him. Nay! An enraged cry echoes. The horse unleashes a powerful neigh, sending a shockwave that blasts the 3 men and their stolen meal. The scene shifts to a vast, snowy mountain range, where a large procession with ornate carriages makes its way through the winter landscape. Veiled women in purple robes ride on horseback, holding red umbrellas as snow falls gently around them. An overhead view shows a carriage pulled by 4 horses surrounded by guards, steadily advancing through the deep snow. A voice from inside the carriage impatiently asks why they are so slow, while a guard explains the heavy snows of the northern border will only worsen. The guard suggests rerouting to Yong'an City since their horses struggle in the snow, but a woman in the carriage scoffs, calling it a rundown place. Smirking, Princess Yu Yang orders them to Yong'an City, demanding the lord of Mongol City kneel before her as her guards agree. In a different snowy location, Luo Yinyu points at several men, asking why they're running around. Step, step, step. With a terrifying, fiery aura, she announces that since she's back, they must train with her, earning her points from their fear. She seizes a terrified man by the collar, grinning with malicious glee as he stares in horror. Hiya! She delivers a powerful kick, sending the man flying. Oof. Standing triumphantly over her defeated trainees, she calls them all noobs, as a system notification confirms her points have reached 137,000. She spots her horse, Bianji, standing in the snow nearby. Grab and run. She leaps onto Biangu's back, and the horse suddenly bolts, leaving her wondering why they're in such a rush. Swoosh! The horse gallops through the camp before coming to a sudden halt. Bam! The abrupt stop sends her flying off its back. A man in a white and red mask catches her, but she protests being grabbed, insisting she has pride. He ignores her and tells his men to prepare to leave. Seeing the old butler, Luo Yinyu asks where he, General Fu, and Zhao Hong are going, while the butler worries about leaving her. The masked man dismisses the butler's concerns about her riding alone, but the old man panics, imagining her falling and breaking her skull. The masked man scoffs, claiming he's more afraid she would break the ground, leaving the old butler and Luo Yinyu speechless. Buffed. Two nearby men try to stifle their laughter, one whispering that the young miss can break mountains with her iron head technique. As one man bursts into laughter, the other hits him for being too loud. From behind a curtain, Luo Yinyu retorts that he has a head that can kill a cow. The masked man silences them all, ordering them to hurry up and leave. Luo Yinyu demands to know their destination, and the masked man calmly replies, Yong'an City. Tap, tap, tap. Three riders descend a snowy mountainside. A close-up highlights the contrast between the two slow, large black horses and Luo Yinyu's super-fast white horse, Bianji. Yawn. Bianji lets out a massive, bored yawn, clearly unbothered by the journey. Drifting off to sleep on horseback, Luo Yinyu daydreams of the butler's food, thinks the masked man is mean, and decides to drink some body-tempering liquid. Gulp, gulp, gulp. After downing the potion and finding a treasure trove in the masked man's stash, she feels her energy fully replenished. The trio arrives at the imposing, snow-covered gates of Yong'an City. General Fu looks on in amazement, remarking how Yong'an City has transformed from a wasteland into a thriving city in just 5 years. Zhu Hong mutters a curse against the trashy emperor as Luo Yinyu listens quietly. He then proudly explains that their benevolent leader trusted Boss Yi to develop this desolate land. With tears in her eyes, Luo Yinyu processes the fact that the emperor gifted them a desolate land and her subordinate just called him trashy. The three riders pass through the city's snow-dusted stone arches. Luo Yinyu gazes around in wonder at the city's unique architecture, admiring how the second-floor businesses have entrances made from stairs of snow. Nay, her loyal horse, Bianji, neighs affectionately as she looks around. Her eyes light up at the sight of giant roasted chickens for sale, and she excitedly declares her desire to eat one. Taking out 2 silver coins, she laments not using them sooner. General Fu offers to buy them chicken, noting the popularity of the stall. She eagerly confirms his offer is real and holds out her hand, much to his confusion. With a cheeky grin, she tells him to give her the money if he wants roasted chicken. She deviously schemes about how easy General Fu is to trick and how she can take advantage of her in the future. The general sighs and hands over a coin, telling her to buy the chicken, which she celebrates as a free meal. Nay, at her command, she and Bianji gallop off towards the food stall. She returns victoriously, holding up 2 massive roasted chickens and exclaiming how amazing they smell. She cheerfully hands one of the roasted chickens to a pleased General Fu. Nay, she lovingly offers a piece of chicken to her happy horse. Hee, she thinks to herself, deciding to keep 2 chickens for later, while Zhou Hong watches with a look of mild exasperation. As Luo Yinyu happily munches on a roasted chicken, Zhou Hong demands to know where his share is, but she simply asks if he paid. Her simple question leaves Jo Hong speechless with irritation, earning her 5 points from his exasperation. In a quick flashback, Jo Hong cheerfully asks the little lady if she wants some roast duck. Continuing the memory, Luo Yinyu innocently turns his offer against him, asking why he's trying to swindle a child's money. Back in the present, Jo Hong shouts that it was his money, but she cheekily corrects him, claiming it was from the dumb duo. Pressing her advantage, she asks the cross-armed Zo Hong if he still wants any roast duck. Zo Hong sweats in frustration, wondering how she can be so smart, netting her another 3 points. Riding in to break the stalemate, a frustrated General Fu declares he'll buy the food for both of them. Both Luo Yinyu and Jo Hong stare in disbelief, surprised anyone would actually be eager to pay. Zhu Hong suddenly changes his tune, loudly praising General Fu for being the strongest and most generous, confusing Luo Yinyu with the flattery. Playing along, Luo Yinyu eagerly agrees that General Fu is the most generous, while privately deciding to butter up the old fox for now. General Fu beams at the praise, earning Luo Yinyu more points, as Jo Hong yells at her to ride slowly and wait at the residence. Continuing their ride, Jo Hong points out the Mengshu Pavilion, a school for young children to learn basics and cultivation. He then gestures to the Yong'an School, explaining it's for older children to specialize in martial arts or academics. Luo Yinyu assumes the fees must be expensive, but Jo Hong happily reveals that education here is completely free. He explains that Boss Yi funds free education for all, a modern mindset that makes Luo Yinyu wonder if he's also from another world. She quickly dismisses the thought, realizing he couldn't be from her era since he doesn't know a famous advertising slogan. Jo Hong proudly states that the school, being Boss Ye's priority, is the safest and cleanest place in the city, protected by experts. Clack. He leans in to whisper that they are being watched the moment they step foot on the grounds, which amazes her as 2 guards stand at attention. The 2 guards suddenly approach, startling both Jo Hong and Luo Yinyu on their horses. Jo Hong stammers nervously that they're just passing by, shocked that they were truly being monitored so closely. One of the guards walks straight past him to Luo Yinyu, who watches curiously as he presents her with a book. She happily accepts the book with a thank you. Finding it interesting, he handed it over without a word. Jo Hong watches with his arms crossed, smugly asking if she's already studying the school rules. The realization hits her: school rules, and she looks horrified, which brings Jo Hong great joy and earns her 33 points. She instinctively recoils as a small boy backs away from a nearby classroom door. Bomb! The wooden door slams shut with resounding force. Jo Hong taunts her, saying now that she has the rulebook, she has to study or risk getting her palms hit for disobedience. She scoffs, confident she'd be praised. But he explains that these schools produce geniuses who become high officials, representing the nation's future. As he passionately declares their future generations will be strong, Luo Yinyu is simply impressed, thinking that Yi Qi is amazing. Zhu Hong urges them to leave to avoid running into bad things, mentioning 2 important guests from the capital. The mention of important guests immediately piques Luo Yinyu's curiosity. Her eyes light up with mischievous excitement. "I'm heading out first," she yells, spurring her horse and leaving a stunned Zhu Hong in her dust. Meanwhile, an ornate red and gold carriage pulled by 4 horses arrives at the Yong'an residence, belonging to Princess Yu Yang. Stepping down from the carriage, Princess Yu Yang arrogantly demands the lord of the city be brought out to kneel before her. Standing beside her, a younger princess with dark hair echoes her haughty demeanor. Peeking from behind a column, Luo Yinyu looks on with disdain, wondering if these are the so-called important guests. Princess Yu Yang berates the younger girl for insisting on visiting such a poor land, deeming it unfit for the empress's daughter. The younger princess explains that she wanted to come see the famous lord of Yong'an City for herself. Princess Yu Yang dismisses the lord as an arrogant and ugly man, patting her sister's cheek and telling her to be impolite as the legitimate princess. The little princess obediently agrees to listen to her royal sister. A satisfied smile graces Princess Yu Yang's lips. A guard in black armor kneels before the princess, awaiting her command. She furiously demands to know why Yi Si is delaying, threatening to have him beheaded, while the younger princess calls him ill-mannered. Thud, thud. In the snowy distance, a lone figure on a white horse approaches them. Thud, thud. The white horse, beyond Gu, gallops forward with purpose. Thud, thud. It's Luo Yinyu, now wearing a cozy red fur-lined cloak, thinking how handy it is for the trip. With a cheeky smile, she pulls out a red item that looks like a megaphone. She happily unfolds her beautiful red cloak, ready to make an entrance. The system displays the profile of Yan Yuran, a 16-year-old second-rank princess, also known as Princess Yu Yang. Next, the system reveals the identity of Yan Qiling, the 5-year-old 17th legitimate princess and daughter of the empress. The girl on the horse realizes with a smile that both princesses share the surname Yan. Enraged by the threat, Yan Yuran demands to know who she is, earning the girl 66 points for her annoyance. As Yan Yuran gets even madder, the system awards another 99 points, which the little girl finds quite satisfactory. The little girl taunts Princess Yu Yang, pointing out that despite being favored, she is still only ranked second. TSSSK, she slyly implies that Yong'an's lord, General Yesi, is ranked first, infuriating the two princesses. She wonders aloud what kind of offense it is to mention rank 1 to rank 2, causing the princess's entourage to kneel as more points roll in. A flood of plus 99 points notifications appears as the princess's rage intensifies, and the little girl happily watches the points spam in. The younger princess, Yan Qiling, clenches her fists, her face a mask of pure anger. The two children lock eyes in a tense standoff across the snowy courtyard. "You dare to look at me!" Yan Qiling shouts, demanding the girl kneel and speak properly to a princess. Yan Yuran adds to the insults, questioning the girl's own status since she's hiding behind the lord's rank. As two servants move to obey, the little girl calmly holds up a hand, telling them to relax and stop. She then calmly takes out a small blue book from her pouch. Flip. She opens the book and loudly recites the school's rules. Students must have integrity and kneel only for heaven, earth, and parents, not injustice. Still reading from the book, she proclaims that the students of Yong'an train to protect the lands and its people. Tap. She snaps the book shut, her expression turning cold as she announces she has finished reading. Swoosh. While the royal party stands confused, she mentally celebrates as another full screen of points pushes her past the 140,000 milestone. Elsewhere, a man in a blue tunic rides his horse slowly, grumbling that he wanted the little lady to stop roaming and must return to the residence. He grumbles in frustration that she rode off on Beyond GU and prays that nothing bad happens to her. Another man calls out to General Fu, who decides it's better to go himself and promptly dismounts his horse. With a look of grim determination, General Fu resolves to find her. Meanwhile, a man with a ponytail and black cape considers buying some tasty-looking desserts from a corner shop. Suddenly, the man in blue appears, yelling for General Fu to stop shopping, warning that the little lady is about to be eaten alive by the two princesses. Eaten? The ponytailed General Fu panics, wildly imagining his sisters are demonic cultivators who eat human flesh. Nay. Spurred by the horrifying thought, he whips his horse into a panicked gallop. Thud, thud. The sound of powerful hoofbeats echoes through the snowy streets. The man in blue watches him disappear in a cloud of snow, wondering if an earthquake just struck. Standing amidst a group of confused children and scattered food, he calls for help, realizing it's all a misunderstanding. He laughs nervously, trying to placate the onlookers by insisting it was just a misunderstanding. Ding! Back at the confrontation, Princess Yan Yuran's anger hits a new peak, earning another plus 99 points. Luo Yinyu sticks her tongue out and taunts the princess, daring her to try and hit her. The princess and her younger sister turn their backs on the girl, her anger flaring yet again for another 99 points. Princess Yan Yuran's hand closes around the handle of a thick red whip. Whip! With a furious cry, she swings the powerful red whip directly at the girl. The girl is shocked. realizing Princess Yan Yuran is of the gold martial rank, which explains her high status. Ding! Vowing to skin the child alive, Yan Yuran unleashes her attack as the system awards points for her soaring, murderous intent. The whip's reflection fills the little girl's eye as she realizes its speed is too great for her to dodge. She squeezes her eyes shut, wondering if this is the end, but her horse lets out a defiant neigh. The white horse's eyes glow with an intense blue light, radiating power. Step. The horse stomps its hoof, shattering the ground and unleashing a wave of golden energy. Boom! The shockwave blasts forward with incredible force. The princess is sent flying as her whip is repelled, and the little girl watches in awe, finding the display exciting. Stunned and bleeding from the lip, Princess Yan Yuran wonders what is going on with the horse. She recalls rumors of Yezi's spiritual white horse, but dismisses the idea, unable to believe such a creature would be ridden by a mere child. A woman in an ornate orange gown furiously orders her guards to drag Luo Yinyu down and hang her at the city entrance. Thud, thud, thud. A chibi version of Yezi runs frantically, worrying about the little lady and the two difficult princesses. Pant, pant. Exhausted, he finally reaches the red doors of the residence. Arriving at the scene, he finds Luo Yinyu on her horse facing two other girls and asks what's going on. The woman in orange and a smaller girl in red simply stare back, confused by his sudden appearance. Luo Yinyu sits calmly on her horse, as Yechi's inner voice scolds her for not dismounting in the presence of princesses. Giving her a secret thumbs up, he inwardly praises her amazing audacity while she pets her horse. His expression turns serious as he resolves to de-escalate the conflict before it gets bigger. Putting on a friendly smile, he walks up to the woman in orange and formally greets the princesses, welcoming them. He gestures towards the Yong'an residence, inviting the two princesses inside to talk. The woman in orange follows him with a stern expression, her attendants and the younger girl trailing behind. Thud! When he tries to stop her, she viciously strikes him across the face with a fiery red whip. HMPH. The woman scoffs as Luo Yinyu angrily asks why she attacked General Zhou when he did nothing to offend her. Yisi stands silently, a bleeding gash now visible on his cheek from the whip slash. Surrounded by an aura of pure rage, Luo Yinyu declares that the princess has successfully angered her. PTTU, she runs forward and spits at the younger princess, leaving the older princess and her attendants stunned. Huh. Holding his injured cheek, Yishi smiles, thinking how cute the little brat is for defending him. The enraged princess screams at Luo Yinyu, calling her a bastard child and a lowlife. Drawing her whip again, she lunges forward, shouting for Luo Yinyu to die right now. Swish! The glowing red whip cuts through the air, heading straight for a shocked Luo Yinyu. Grab! Yisi catches the whip mid-air, apologizing to Princess Yu Yang and excusing his young miss for being wild. Princess Yu Yang stares in confusion, repeating his words and asking, "What young miss?" He calmly reveals Luo Yinyu is the daughter of General Yi of the Bu Yi army, causing the princess to release her whip. Clang as the whip falls, Princess Yu Yang's face contorts in absolute, wide-eyed horror. She and her attendants begin to tremble with fear as she stammers, unable to believe what she's just heard. Crying out in disbelief that he has a daughter, Princess Yu Yang dramatically faints, and her servants frantically call for a doctor. As the chaos unfolds, Yi Qi and Luo Yinyu watch, with him muttering a confused, "Huh?" A system notification awards Luo Yinyu nearly 300 points for Princess Yan Yuran's intense emotions, leaving her equally confused. Watching the princess being carried away, Luo Yinyu begins to suspect something about her identity. The scene shifts to two men, a small girl and a horse waiting patiently by a red doorway. Meanwhile, an attendant carrying the fainted princess remarks on how spoiled and lucky princesses are. Later, Yasi complains to a man with a ponytail about his stinging face, but the man dismisses it, noting the large gap between their martial realms. Yichi fumes, shouting that his pride was wounded because he, a general of an assassin squad, was struck by a mere second ranker. The ponytailed man agrees the princess is evil, but reminds Yi-ji that there's nothing they can do since she's royalty. Yi-chi yells at the man, Yan Fu-tong, telling him that as a princess himself, he should be the one to lecture her. Yan Fu-tong reminds him that he's also of the Black Martial realm, while the other girl holds a title and is a second rank. Luo Yinyu sits quietly, overwhelmed by all the new information about family names and ranks she's hearing. Realizing the implication, she asks why General Fu, a princess, is at a border army camp. He explains he's training to become strong. General Fu promises to protect her from bullies, and Biangu's agreement earns her 3 more points before he reveals many want to harm her due to her mother's past crimes. He explains that while the Empress saved her life, she was stripped of all rights and locked away for 15 years without education. His expression darkens as he recalls a massive frenzy of evil spirits from the southern Ghost region that attacked the capital 5 years ago. In a flashback to the chaotic attack, he explains that he escaped the palace after even his own maids and eunuchs fled. He remembers running directly towards the swarm of evil spirits in the chaos. He concludes his story by explaining he somehow swallowed a blood pill during the frenzy, which elevated him to the Black Martial realm. Impressed, Luo Yinyu calls it a, quote, solid main character plotline, before asking for more details about the evil spirits. A second man explains that the Ghost region exists separately and rarely interferes with their lands. He continues, stating that 5 years ago the spirits inexplicably targeted Beiyu and broke through the barrier. When Luo Yinyu asks why, the man admits no one knows, but they must have had their reasons. She asks if the spirits will attack again, but both men confidently say no, simply because General Yi said so. Seeing their unwavering faith, Luo Yinyu wonders if their admiration for Ye-chi has completely blinded them. From a treetop perch, a girl with dark greenish-blue hair observes that while the Empress is annoying, her servants are efficient cleaners. Still in the tree, she snacks on a treat and wonders if the annoying Princess Yu Yang has woken up yet. On the ground, an old maid confronts a little girl in red, calling her the bastard child Yi-chi is raising and scolding her for eating dirty refugee food. The girl in the tree glares down with an intensely annoyed expression after hearing the insult. Swish! The little girl in red furiously throws a rock, screaming at the bastard child to come down from the tree. Swoosh! The rock flies through the branches and the girl in the tree abruptly stops what she's doing. Thud! In a comedic twist, the rock falls directly back onto the head of the little girl who threw it. The girl in red is left completely stunned and speechless by the unexpected bonk on the head. The girl in the tree smirks as a system notification confirms Yan Chi Ling is worked up, earning her 99 points from the insults. Swoosh! The enraged girl in red screams, "You trash! Die!" as the girl in the tree, Yan Chi Ling, falls and gains another 99 points for the princess's anger. Bam! Yan Chi Ling lands a solid punch, telling the other girl not to blame her for the beating since she started it. An old maid rushes over in a panic, crying out for the little princess who is now lying on the ground. Yan Chi Ling stands over the fallen girl, coldly threatening to kill her if the maid keeps screaming. Ignoring the threat, the maid frantically yells for help as the little princess cries for her grandma. After shouting for help one last time, the old maid abruptly turns and runs away from the scene. Confused, Yan Chi Ling wonders why the old maid, who has cultivation, ran off instead of helping, as the little princess sobs on the ground. Wah! The little princess erupts into a massive tear-filled cry. Annoyed by the loud wailing, Yan Chi Ling covers her ears with a grimace. Yan Chi Ling tells the sobbing girl to shut up and reveals her grandma is a cultivator, which the girl tearfully confirms. Smiling sweetly, Yan Chi Ling tells the frightened girl to listen to her to avoid another beating. Ugh, punch. Yan Chi Ling orders her to stop crying and punches her, quieting her down to a mere sob. Elsewhere, a woman in an ornate orange dress clenches her fists in fury, unable to believe Ye-chi had a child with another woman after she fell for his handsomeness. In a flashback, she recalls blushing as she saw the handsome, blue-haired Ye-si coughing, marking the day her heart became his. Seething, she wonders which lowly woman managed to tempt him after her own attempts to arrange a marriage failed. Thud thud. Her angry thoughts are interrupted by the sight of the old maid running towards her in a panic. The maid bursts in, frantically reporting that the young miss is about to beat the little princess to death. The woman feigns shock and demands help, questioning if the maid is sure the young miss is killing the princess. With a cruel, hidden smile, the woman thinks to herself that heaven is conveniently wiping out two of her problems at once. Putting on a show of distress, she orders someone to find General Jo Hong to save the princess immediately. A man named Jo Hong runs with his subordinates, angrily questioning who from the Buyue army would dare harm the empress's own daughter. The old maid warns him that if the princess dies, Yixi himself will have to pay with his head. No Hong questions the maid's story, but she insists she saw the beating with her own eyes. The old maid cries crocodile tears, lamenting that she didn't stop the princess from meeting Yixi's child. Trying to appear calm, Jo Hong argues that the young miss is too gentle and timid to ever beat someone up. Another man panics, realizing he's indebted to the empress and will be in deep trouble if her daughter is harmed. He desperately pleads in his mind for the young miss not to cause any trouble. The old maid laments the fate of the princess, blaming the scum of the rundown south borders. The group arrives to find the two girls happily playing together, making floral wreaths and singing. System notifications award points for the shock of Jo Hong, the confusion of Yan Fu Tong, and the suspicion of the old maid. Jo Hong and the others stand frozen, stammering in disbelief at the peaceful scene before them. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Yu Hong grins menacingly, thinking of the fury of the Buyue army's assassination squad for the maid's lies. Shake. The terrified maid shakes her head, insisting she really did see the young miss beat up the princess. She urges them to check for internal injuries, but Yan Qiling angrily tells the stinky old lady to stop interrupting their game. The old maid glares as Yan Qiling returns her look with a smug little smirk. Yan Qiling innocently points a finger, a cheerful smile on her face. Changing her tune, the old maid sweetly calls for the little princess to come over to her. With hands on her hips, Yan Qiling questions the maid's audacity in daring to order a princess around. The little princess, Yan Fu Tong, looks confused, suddenly realizing that she's the one who should be giving orders. She reflects on how her grandma always orders her around and even abandoned her by running away just moments ago. Wah! The old maid loudly insults the girl, calling her an illegitimate child who shouldn't live, causing her to cry out for General Fu in fear. A long-haired man rushes to protect the crying girl, declaring she's Yong'an's only recognized daughter, but the old maid vows to kill her anyway. The girl calmly tells the man, General Fu, that it's fine for a princess of the Black Martial Realm to kill a mere maid. Swoosh! The maid panics as the general unsheathes his sword, ignoring her claim of being an imperial consort's disciple. A jet of blood erupts as the maid is struck down in a single swift motion. The general stands over the dead maid's body as the little girl watches with a thoughtful smile, noting the maid's connection to the imperial consort. Elsewhere, a man in a mask paces as an old butler, frets about the young miss being bullied by Princess Yu Yang, but the masked man tells him he's overthinking it. Swoosh! Under the moonlight, several masked figures leap through the forest and swish down into a courtyard. 3 of the chibi-style masked subordinates stand at attention, awaiting orders. One of the men reports to the masked lord that the young miss single-handedly scared off 300 people, forcing them all to their knees. The masked lord smiles at the butler, vindicated, until another subordinate rushes in to report the young miss made Princess Yu Yang vomit blood, surprising him. The old butler worries about the powerful Dongguo family, but the masked lord calmly states that killing one is the same as killing many. A third subordinate reports in a panic that the young miss has now beaten the 17th princess until she's disabled, leaving everyone shocked. Faint! The butler and 2 subordinates collapse from the shocking news, while the remaining one nervously asks the general for instructions. The masked man holds up a vial, ordering it to be sent to the princess to rein the brat in a little. A woman in an orange dress sneers at the news, calling the young miss a brute, without the emperor's approval, who will die soon anyway. She schemes to use the incident to seize control of the Buyuyi army from Yisi, as her young daughter gleefully asks if she can join. The old maid bursts in frantically, and the woman, a princess, calmly asks what the matter is. The maid urges the princess to come see, suggesting that she might still be saved. The maid cries that she's already dead, shocking the princess, who asks if she's sure the person has taken her last breath. The maid yells for the princess to hurry because Johong is about to burn the body, enraging the princess over the desecration of royalty. The maid clarifies that the grandma died, not the princess, leaving the princess stunned and forcing a pained smile. Meanwhile, Yan Qiling watches her points rise to nearly 145,000 from everyone's shock and anger, eagerly awaiting the day her seal is undone. As more points come in, she notes that her grandpa butler is worried and feels happy to experience familial love for the first time. She quietly sits up straight on the floor, waiting patiently. Two subordinates struggle to apply ointment to the crying and squirming little princess, begging her to stop. Yan Qiling observes the scene, thinking the princess is pitiful and deducing that someone must be manipulating the 5-year-old from the shadows. Dressed as a detective, she maps out the conspiracy, realizing that by killing the maid and the Dongguo family member, she has made the imperial consort her sworn enemy. With newfound resolve, she decides she must act first and find a way to kill the imperial consort. She approaches the crying little princess with a sweet, disarming smile. The little princess looks up at her, tearfully confused by her sudden appearance. Yan Qiling gains 99 points for shocking herself, then offers the little princess ointment with a mischievous, wolf-like grin. She hands over the medicine and gives her subordinate a thumbs up, signaling him to hold the princess down. The little princess looks up with wide, terrified eyes on the verge of another breakdown. As the princess wails for her father to save her, Yan Qiling grins deviously, pleased that her plan to provoke Beiyu is working. In another room, two men have tea, with one complimenting its fragrance and rarity in Linzhou. Tap, tap, tap. A woman in ornate robes storms in, furiously demanding to know who dared to kill one of her people. One man greets Princess Yu Yang respectfully, while the other, Yan Futong, remains seated with a defiant expression. Yan Futong gives the princess a cold, challenging stare. Princess Yu Yang furiously confronts Yan Futong, questioning how he dares to look at her with such a gaze. The other man calmly reviews a note, thinking to himself that everything is under control. The princess continues yelling at the silent Yan Futong, demanding to know if he's deaf. Yan Futong stands, grabs the princess, and coldly admits to killing her person, asking if she has a problem. The princess is left sweating and speechless, completely flustered by his aggressive move. Yan Futong stares down at her with an intense and unwavering gaze. Nice. From the background, the other man gives a supportive thumbs up while holding the note. He reads the note's contents aloud, detailing the old maid's provocations against the young miss, the princess, and General Ye Qi, as Yan Futong smirks. Moving closer, Yan Futong repeats the accusations to the tearful princess. He grips her chin tightly, threatening to kill her if she's as rude as her people, forcing her to retreat in fear. Princess Yan Yuran shouts furiously, pointing an accusatory finger. Her tirade is cut short as someone firmly catches her wrist. She grimaces in pain, struggling against the tight grip of a hand in a black sleeve. The ponytailed man, Yan Futong, warns Yan Yuran to be respectful, reminding her that he is her second imperial sister and a general in the Black Martial realm. He scoffs at her lower rank and coldly advises her to be honest in Linzhou, or she'll die without knowing why. With a final warning, he releases her hand. Unsteady, Princess Yan Yuran stumbles backward from the force of his release. She inwardly curses her carelessness, realizing Yan Futong is too powerful to fight here, far from the capital. Humbled, she bows her head and reluctantly agrees with her second imperial elder sister. Her demeanor shifts to a sly smile as she asks him to inform the Lord of Yong'an that she is waiting for him. A chibi Yan Futong panics, realizing this was not part of the plan Zhou Hong mentioned. As Yan Futong sweats, Yishi silently urges him to improvise, since they weren't prepared for this. Yan Futong nervously explains that General Ye is very busy. The princess counters that he must see her, or his mother's ally will be in danger, as Luo Yinyu and Bianjiyu peek from a doorway. Luo Yinyu and her horse watch with focused, serious expressions as the confrontation unfolds. The two men stand speechless before the princess's ultimatum. Yisi explains that the general is busy with military affairs, but the princess thinks to herself that she'll have to force him to appear. In a chibi reaction, Yan Futong and Yechi fret, wondering if the princess has some blackmail material on their boss. Shock! She reveals that 5 years ago, she saw General Ye Qi at the Empress's residence, sending the two men into a panic. She demands to know what the Bu Yi army's general was doing at the harem, stating she'd never mistake his one-of-a-kind mask. Ha ha ha. She erupts into a triumphant, maniacal laugh, imagining the scandal if the world knew General Yi Qi spent the night with the Empress. She smiles with sinister satisfaction. Yan Futong and Ye Qi are horrified, sweating profusely at the implication of her words. She smugly concludes her threat, thinking he brought this on himself, while Luo Yinyu and Bianjiyu continue to watch. Nay, Luo Yinyu smiles as Bianjiyu neighs happily beside her. Luo Yinyu inwardly praises Ye Qi's wildness, while inside the men panic about the consequences of him being at the Empress's residence. As Ye Qi stares out the window, Luo Yinyu appears behind him, announcing she was overhearing, causing him and the other man to jump and deny everything. A stone-faced Yi Qi freezes as a system notification confirms his subordinate, Zhou Hong, is utterly tongue-tied. The three men now stand in the courtyard, facing Luo Yinyu and her horse. While Yan Futong denies the accusations, Ye Qi internally fumes, realizing Butler Zheng lied about a 10-year-old being able to split mountains. Ye Qi lays out the problem of a eunuch sneaking into the Empress's residence 5 years ago, and his men shout in agreement, demanding to know his motive. As they question why he met the Empress, Luo Yinyu climbs onto a chair and dismisses their concern, thinking a 10-year-old is harmless. Zhou Hong brightens, agreeing that a 10-year-old couldn't possibly do anything significant. Yan Futong questions Ye Qi's intentions, causing him to panic as he realizes the dire implications of being caught in the Empress's residence late at night. Luo Yinyu thoughtfully recounts the events from 5 years ago, Ye Qi's visit, the spirit frenzy, Yan Futong's ascension, and the little princess's birth. She narrows her eyes, finding the cluster of major events 5 years ago far too coincidental. The scene shifts to a peaceful courtyard where Bianjiyu rests contentedly. Luo Yinyu walks outside, concluding that Ye Qi's secret visit to the Empress and his special attention to the little princess are connected. She has a flash of insight, realizing the little princess must be the key, just as Bianjiyu startles her with a loud neigh. She gently placates her resentful horse, earning 9 points from the system for her kindness. Entering another room, she finds the little princess, Yan Qiling, peacefully asleep on a bed. Bam! She yanks the sleeping girl awake, shouting, "You can't sleep," causing the startled child to cry out. With a bruised cheek and tears streaming down her face, Yan Qiling begins to break down, earning Luo Yinyu 99 points. Luo Yinyu sternly tells her not to cry, which only terrifies the girl more, netting another 99 points. With a devilish grin, Luo Yinyu suggests a game of questions with a simple rule: answer or get beaten up. The terrified princess agrees, and Luo Yinyu asks for her age and her mother's identity. She replies that she is 5 and doesn't know her mom. When the princess shakes her head and repeats her answer, Luo Yinyu gives her a sharp whack. The system awards 99 points for the princess's aggrieved feelings, as Luo Yinyu's thoughts justify the hit. Luo Yinyu looks on with grim determination while the terrified little princess sobs in confusion. Yan Qiling sadly explains she only sees her mother twice a year from afar because the emperor doesn't love her and has her locked up. Luo Yinyu questions this, remembering the empress's high status, but Yan Qiling says her grandma and 10th older sister told her everything. Still skeptical, Luo Yinyu asks who is teaching the little princess to read, write, and cultivate. Yan Qiling defiantly shouts that she won't learn, insisting that as the Empress's daughter, she was born with everything and doesn't need to. Wak Luo Yinyu delivers a sharp slap, declaring that the little princess has been completely ruined by bad advice. Crying with a bruised face and a bloody nose, Yan Qiling asks why she was hit again as a system notification confirms her mental breakdown. Luo Yinyu grabs her and issues a dire warning. Learn to read, write, and cultivate, or she will be beaten to death, terrifying the girl for another 99 points. Threatening to chase her back to the palace, Luo Yinyu promises to teach her everything herself so she can't be misled, earning another 99 points from the girl's fear. Whack, as Yan Qiling wails, she gets hit again for breaking the no-crying rule. The scene shifts to a quiet room where an old man dozes in a chair while the masked Yi Si sits at a desk. Slam! Old Zhang jolts awake, anxiously asking for news about the young miss, explaining his worry about the ruthless Princess Yu Yang. Yi Chi calmly asks why he's so concerned, taking a note from him. Yi Chi reads the report, noting with a smirk that the princess targeted him directly instead of harming Luo Yinyu. Old Zhang sighs in relief that the little lady is safe, prompting Yi Chi to ask why he isn't the least bit worried about him. Yi Chi stands, explaining the political situation with the Dongguo family is more complex than old Zhang thinks, and ignites the note, vowing to handle it his way. Admitting his ignorance of power struggles, old Zhang simply states that he has grown fond of the little lady and wishes for her to be safe. Yi Si scoffs at the idea of her staying uninvolved, declaring she is destined to be the next general of the Bu Yi army and a key to his plans. With renewed determination, old Zhang clenches his fist and vows to risk his life to protect her. Back in the bedroom, Luo Yinyu sleeps peacefully while Yan Qiling lies beside her, still crying. Luo Yinyu wakes up and looks over at the exhausted Yan Qiling still lying on the bed. Step. She casually walks across the sleeping girl's stomach, earning 99 points as Yan Qiling experiences great pain. Ding! Another mental breakdown nets Luo Yinyu 99 points, and she marvels at the little princess's hard work in giving her points all night. Momentarily wondering if she went too far, Luo Yinyu quickly dismisses the thought and heads outside with a shrug. She greets her horse, who neighs affectionately as she pets its face. Sniff, sniff. A strong stench of blood fills the air, and Luo Yinyu wonders why the courtyard is deserted, with no guards or maids in sight. Thud. Thud. Suddenly, Princess Yan Yuran runs past in a state of utter panic. Startled by the princess's frantic escape, Luo Yinyu wonders what could have possibly happened. As Princess Yan Yuran flees down a corridor begging not to be followed, a young man with grayish hair taunts her to slow down. The princess rushes right past a confused Luo Yinyu, who can only wonder if she's gone crazy. A young man cheerfully greets Luo Yinyu, explaining he is escorting Princess Yu Yang to the capital and she wishes him safe travels. The words, safe travels, send a chill down Princess Yan Yuran's spine, and she stumbles in terror, crying for help as the system awards points for her hopelessness. As the young man walks away, Luo Yinyu watches the bizarre scene, wondering what could have made the princess so terrified. Zhou Hong appears in a great mood, earning points for his happiness, and asks Luo Yinyu why she's happy too. He then giggles about how 500 escort guards all died at once, leaving the residents so lonely. What? Died? Luo Yinyu exclaims, her eyes wide with shock at the sudden news. Her shock quickly turns to glee as she eagerly asks for all the details, wanting to share in the happiness. Zhou Hong explains that after the princess spoke ill of their boss, Ye Shi ordered her entire 500-person entourage eliminated, causing her to flee in terror. Realizing the source of the blood stench, Luo Yinyu clenches her fists in admiration for Ye Chi's brutal efficiency and ruthlessness. She and Zhou Hong sit on the steps, sharing a moment of sinister glee as another man walks past in the background. Yan Futong appears, asking if the escort, Chu Rong Xuan, will be back for New Year, but Zhou Hong reveals their boss will be staying in the capital under a new identity. A chibi Yan Futong scratches his head in confusion, asking why their boss would do that. Zhou Hong laughs, explaining it's a mind trick, They've arranged for Chu Rongshuan to become an official in the capital as soon as he arrives. When Yan Futong asks for the reason, Zhou Hong gleefully explains that as long as her escort remains in the capital, Princess Yu Yang will never know a day of peace. Luo Yinyu chimes in, predicting Chu Rongshuan will psychologically torture the princess until she's broken, a plan she and Zhou Hong find hilarious. Finally understanding, Yan Futong laughs and wonders who came up with such a deliciously underhanded tactic. With a smug grin, Luo Yinyu proudly announces it was none other than their General Ye. The scene transitions to a grand hall where the Beiyu Emperor, Yan Jingshuo, sits pensively at his desk. He calmly holds a small, elegant teacup in his hands. With a steady hand, the emperor lifts the lid from his teacup, preparing to drink. A voice compliments the empress, declaring that even the beauty of the snowy landscape pales in comparison to her and the tea she has brewed. The Beiyu nation's empress, Ruo Mulan, is introduced as she elegantly pours tea. The emperor suddenly appears behind her, grabbing her chin and demanding she finally reveal her secret to longevity after so many years. The emperor holds the empress's chin, tauntingly mentioning that kid Yu Yang and asking if she misses her own daughter. The empress stares in wide-eyed shock as the emperor's hand grips her chin tightly. She pushes his hand away, retorting that he forced her to act this way, and that she only wants to live longer to become strong enough to unite the world. With a cynical smirk, she mockingly repeats her own noble words about suppressing evil and saving civilians. She calmly places the lid back onto her teacup. She confronts the emperor about his sudden talk of justice, but he dismisses her, saying she doesn't understand. With her eyes cast in shadow, she bitterly thinks that imperial consort Dongguo is far more suitable and useful to him. Believing she no longer has any value, she tells the emperor to just kill her. The emperor's expression softens as he gently cups her face, asking how she could say such a thing. Her eyes remain shadowed as a faint, knowing smile plays on her lips. A close-up shows her hand clenching slightly. The empress looks up with a sad, resigned smile, telling him that she has grown old and will die soon anyway. Enraged, the emperor strikes her across the face. He turns his back on the kneeling empress and walks away, vowing that he will eventually make her confess. The empress watches him leave, her expression a mixture of defiance and sorrow. The scene shifts to another chamber, where imperial consort Dongguo rests on a bed as the seventh prince, Yan Wenwu, sits in a nearby chair. A servant enters the room and formally greets the imperial consort. The servant reports that the emperor exchanged poems with concubine Ling in the garden, but the consort dismisses the information as unimportant. The servant clarifies the poem's meaning, revealing it referenced the Biu Yi army's lord, which immediately angers the consort. The seventh prince leaps to his feet, declaring the poem an obvious threat against Ye Qi and urging his mother to let them kill him immediately. The imperial consort sharply rebukes her son for his unprincely outburst, and he meekly apologizes. A new idea strikes the prince, and he eagerly suggests sending a message to his imperial sister in Linzhou, telling her to act boldly. In a chibi moment, the imperial consort despairs over her foolish son, who stands proudly, thinking he's a genius. After a servant suggests punishing concubine Ling, the prince asks why his mother is scheming with her. She explains that the emperor will handle Yi Qi and their family must stay out of it. The prince argues that the emperor himself wrote the poem, but his mother scolds him, insisting that concubine Ling started this mess and must bear the consequences. When the prince dismisses Yi Xi as merely scared, the imperial consort explodes, yelling at him to shut up and let his sister handle her own affairs. With a sinister smile, the imperial consort wonders to herself how Princess Yuran's mission is progressing. At the Yang'an residence, the little princess Yan Qiling sits quietly, haunted by a fiery memory of Luo Yinyu yelling at her. As two tiny spirits debate on her shoulders, Yan Qiling decides to stay put to avoid another beating, though one spirit urges her to investigate the silence. Growl. Her stomach rumbles loudly, and the starving princess realizes she must find food or she might die. Push! Determined, she slides open the heavy wooden door to her room. She steps out into a silent courtyard, finding no one in sight. Tears welling in her eyes, the little princess looks around in confusion. wondering where everyone has gone. While standing alone in the doorway, she begins to cry, calling out for anyone who might hear her. Meanwhile, Luo Yinyu and two guards ride through a town, with one guard cheerfully suggesting they tell her what happened in Linzhou for a good laugh. One of the guards asks Luo Yinyu what's wrong, and she admits she feels like she forgot something, but he tells her not to worry. In a sudden chibi realization, the guard remembers they left the little princess behind in their haste, and Luo Yinyu knows that was it. The other guard smiles cruelly, remarking on the poor little princess's fate, having now been forgotten at the residence. Slap. The first guard dramatically smacks his own head, crying out in mock horror over abandoning his imperial younger sister. Swoosh back at the army camp. Several figures in black leap gracefully across the snowy rooftops. A masked subordinate delivers a report, announcing that the young miss is returning to the army camp. Another urgent report comes in. The young miss has already reached the camp's entrance, causing a stir among the men. Swoosh! Soldiers rush through the snowy camp to greet the returning party. As Luo Yinyu rides in on her white horse, system notifications confirm the fear and worry of the men, earning her more points, which she greedily welcomes. Spotting two familiar figures in the distance, she happily calls out, "Grandpa Butler," nay with a joyful shout. She spurs her horse BNGU to charge forward. She gallops through the snow, closing the distance to the two waiting men. Leaping from her horse, Luo Yinyu flies into the arms of the delighted old butler in a heartwarming reunion. BZZT. Suddenly, a powerful surge of electricity courses through the old butler as he holds her. He collapses to the ground, unconscious, leaving a shocked Luo Yinyu to stare down at him and cry out his name in alarm. The masked man, Ye Qi, informs a stunned Yan Qiling that the man on the ground fainted from being electrocuted by her. Zapping with electricity, Yan Qiling remains defiantly silent with a smug look on her face. Grab! A hand suddenly snatches the back of her collar. Held firmly by Ye Qi, a struggling Yan Qiling demands he put her down, promising to let the matter go. With her arms crossed, Yan Qiling gives him a determined, pouty look. Ye Qi's masked face reveals an amused, smiling expression as he looks down at her. Inside, Yan Qiling questions Ye Qi's power level, doubting he's above the heaven martial rank, while he privately muses about the transition from martial to spiritual arts. Yan Qiling inquisitively pokes Ye Qi's mask as a system notification about his emotional state appears. After placing her by the window, Ye Qi touches a seal on her back, noting the effectiveness of his work. Yan Qiling asks if the princess revealed his face to him, then eagerly demands to see it for herself. She jumps onto a table, enthusiastically begging to see what he looks like under the mask. Ye Qi warns her not to provoke him after she calls him ugly, telling her to focus on breaking her own seals instead. Pouting with her arms crossed, she explains that the system requires an enormous 2 million points to break the seal. Ye Qi looks down at her with his arms crossed, his masked expression unreadable. A close-up reveals a sly, knowing smile on Ye Qi's mask. Taking out a book, Yan Qiling asks if she's going to study at the Mengsu Pavilion, and Ye Qi gives her the choice. Her eyes sparkle with delight as she clenches her fists and enthusiastically agrees to go. As Ye Qi considers sending the little princess back to the capital, Yan Qiling privately thinks the assassin squad has already dealt with her. Jump! She leaps energetically from her seat. Cling! She grabs onto his arm, demanding to know what he told the Empress in the palace 5 years ago. Looking stressed, Ye Qi sharply tells her not to ask questions she's not supposed to. She tears his sleeve, leaving him standing in stunned silence as a notification appears. Realizing what she's done, Yan Qiling breaks into a nervous sweat. Gulp, gulp, gulp. The furious Ye Qi forces her to drink from a large bucket, threatening to kill her if she ever rips his clothes again. Feeling her stamina boosted by the body-tempering liquid, she takes aim with a small slingshot. She lets out a mischievous giggle as she zeroes in on her target. Bam! The projectile hits a bearded general on the head, who cries out in pain as Yan Qiling calls him out for loitering. The general rubs his sore head, thinking to himself that he has a small favor to ask of Boss Ye. Yan Qiling watches him with a smug, knowing smile and her arms crossed. The bearded general sweats profusely, looking incredibly nervous. Yan Qiling advises the general against approaching Boss Ye, warning him that his mood is foul and his request will fail. A system notification confirms that General Yu Huji is deeply touched by her concern, awarding her 9 points. Yu Huji gratefully presents a roast chicken to the young miss in a deep bow of respect. She takes the chicken but instructs him to tell General Yi that she bought it and has a request of her own. Yu Huji looks completely crushed as she walks off with his offering, earning her another 9 points for his breakdown. The scene shifts to a festive night at the Bu army camp, where fireworks light up the sky. 2 men with their hands bound behind them pace anxiously beneath the celebratory explosions. Yu Huji clenches his fist in frustration, lamenting the wasted chicken and his now ruined opportunity. Yusi opens his study door to find Yu Huji, demanding to know what he wants after days of loitering. Yu Huji drops to his knees, tearfully explaining his fear of dying alone, only for an annoyed Yechi to pinch his cheek. Yechi coldly reminds the general that his hometown was likely destroyed in the war, crushing his hopes with a simple groan. As the general cries about not having a wife, Yechi offers a royal wedding as a reward, but the general refuses a spoiled lady. Blushing and shy, Yu Huji timidly asks his boss if he can arrange for him to marry a woman named Wen Dong. A young woman in a red dress appears suddenly, angrily asking if he's trying to steal Wen Dong from her without permission. His heart shatters as the crestfallen general begins to cry. The scene transitions to a grand New Year's Eve celebration at the imperial palace of the Beiyu nation, filled with dancers. 2 officials discuss Princess Yu Yang's trip to Linzhou, musing that spending New Year's at the border could be a unique experience. A long-haired figure watches the proceedings in the quiet and grand imperial throne room. An official reports to the imperial master that Princess Yu Yang caused a scene by insisting on going to Linzhou to find Yong'an's lord. The imperial master, Dongguo Wu, tells His Majesty that while Yong'an's general is great, his rank is beneath Princess Yu Yang's, a gap her royal blood can bridge. The imperial consort smiles, dismissing status and position in favor of happiness, and thinks to herself that her father knows she's using this to help Yi Si. As the emperor stands, the imperial consort declares her plan to tie Yi Qi and his Bu army to the Dongguo family, but the emperor angrily objects to the match. The imperial consort fumes privately, calling her son an idiot for not understanding her motives and how provoking Yachi harms their family. The emperor stands with his back to the viewer, facing his officials in the grand hall. With a grim expression, the emperor stands in profile as an elderly official waits behind him. Flip enraged, the emperor violently flips a table while screaming Yisi's name. The imperial consort stands in the dark, shocked by the news that they were all killed. An official confirms the cruel lord of Yong'an slaughtered all 500 of the princess's guards, prompting the consort to ask about Yu Yang's fate. The official reports that Princess Yu Yang is resting in the palace, still dazed, and that the emperor's rage has solidified Ye Qi's reputation for arrogance, leading the consort to decide she can't be associated with him. The imperial consort turns with a cold, calculating gaze, asking about the 17th princess. An official reveals that Yan Qiling is alive and being held by Ye Qi in Linzhou, which sends the imperial consort into a furious rage. Her face contorted with anger, she seethes over Yi Si capturing a princess, seeing it as a slap to the imperial family's face and questioning if he's planning a rebellion. The scene transitions to the snowy grounds of the Bu army camp, outside Yi Si's reading room. Yu Huji furiously complains to his comrades that the young miss stole and ate half his hard-earned roasted chicken. A man with a ponytail looks suspiciously at Yu Huji, while another man comically misinterprets the complaint, denying he stole any chicken. Another soldier chimes in, complaining that the young miss tricked him into being her personal porter by acting cute. A third soldier suggests they take a few days off in Yong'an City to see a lady whose singing will melt into your bones. The 2 complaining men are instantly re-energized, their eyes sparkling with excitement at the idea. From a short distance away, Yan Qiling and two attendants listen in on the men's conversation. Tisk, 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 Yan Qiling suddenly appears, pointing an accusatory finger at Yu Hu Ji and calling him a lecher for chasing mistresses while planning to marry. Another young girl agrees he's human scum, and Yan Qiling points at all three men, declaring them all scumbags. Wak Wendong appears and slaps Yan Futong, calling him woman scum and leaving him utterly bewildered. While two of the men frantically apologize and blame each other, Yan Futong confronts Wendong, demanding to know why he has to apologize. As the chaos unfolds, Yan Qiling watches her system rack up points from their various emotional states, musing on the complexity of adults. Creak. The masked Ye Si opens a door and calmly invites someone to come in. Yan Qiling sits patiently on a decorative bench inside the room, looking up at Ye Si. A hand holds up a piece of pink fabric decorated with white flowers. The shot focuses on the flowing pink floral fabric. A small child wearing a miniature version of Ye Qi's mask peeks out from behind Yan Qiling as Ye Qi remarks that children grow up fast. Yan Qiling holds the pink cloth, realizing with surprise that the material seems to be the same as Ye Qi's clothing. A bead of sweat drips down Ye Qi's mask as a system notification confirms he's feeling emotional, earning her 1 point. With sparkling eyes and a hopeful blush, Yan Qiling sweetly asks if he's making clothes for her. She giggles, finding the image of a 200-year-old masked man sewing a shirt by candlelight amusing. Yi Che explains the unique properties of the material, noting that it's light and resistant to both blades and fire. Yan Qiling clutches the special fabric with a wonderfully evil grin. She suddenly drapes the cloth over her head and leaps up, shouting, "Lu Yinyu!" which startles Ye Qi and earns her another point. Now wearing the new pink top, she innocently asks why he made it himself instead of asking Wendong or Cui Shui. Ye Si announces he's leaving for a while and taking her housekeeper grandpa with him. Panicked, Yan Qiling exclaims that she'll starve without her grandpa, but Ye Si clarifies they're both leaving together, earning another point. She asks when her grandpa will return, worried about danger, but is relieved when Yushi says it's only a few days, as she has enough food to last. Outside in the snow, two figures on horseback begin to ride away from the compound. With tears in her eyes, Yan Qiling shouts for her housekeeper grandpa to return soon, causing Ye Qi's emotions to ripple again for another point. The perspective reveals Yan Qiling is actually on the back of a horse with one of the riders. She reaches a tiny hand out, crying for her housekeeper grandpa as another system notification appears. Her hand is firmly pushed away. As the two horses ride off into the snowy mountains, she shouts for them to stop nagging and just go already. Standing alone in the snow, she thinks to herself that her heart feels empty and wonders when they will be back. A horse gallops toward her as a voice urgently calls out for the young miss. A soldier on a galloping horse urgently informs a startled Yan Qiling that she must take charge of the new recruit's training assessment. A flustered soldier rushes toward Yan Qiling with a scroll, shouting about an urgent report from Jing City. A masked man with a ponytail reports that the Han Liao kingdom has invaded Beiyu's borders. The news hits Yan Qiling hard, leaving her utterly shocked and speechless. The soldiers react with fury and disbelief, questioning why the Han Liao kingdom would invade now after years of peace. A man with long brown hair, General Zhou, listens calmly to the masked man's continued report inside the study. The masked man reveals the scale of the invasion, a total of 50,000 soldiers split into 3 teams. The report continues, detailing that 2 groups have ambushed the defense and archery squads, while a 3rd cavalry team attacks the main base. As the 3 soldiers panic, General Zhou realizes the ambush specifically targets Yu Huji, Liu Yuan, and Yan Futong, a conclusion Yan Qiling confirms with a nod. Yan Qiling asks the men if they were supposed to be heading to Yang'an City, considering the time it would take to travel back and forth. The 3 soldiers explain they were unable to go, prompting Yan Qiling to ask for the reason why. Yan Qiling asks General Zhou if the singer in Yang'an is from the capital, causing him to tense up and promise an immediate investigation. She turns to Yu Huji, bluntly asking him to assess their chances of winning against the three invading squads. The soldiers explain that while the Buyue army usually wins, this ambush during the new year has left them with low morale, no clear leader, and surrounded by enemy scouts. Filled with grim determination, the three soldiers brace themselves and declare they are heading out to fight. General Zhou confirms the ambush squads are already fighting without preparation and will suffer heavy losses, worrying how he will report this disaster to Ye Qi. With a concerned pout, Yan Qiling reflects on how every one of these soldiers, painstakingly trained by Yi Shi, has contributed points to her system. General Zhou tells Yan Qiling to disregard his worries for now and leaves to investigate the woman from the capital, leaving the young girl alone at the strategy table. Yan Qiling studies the maps, her gaze moving from the marked ambush points to the three-dimensional model of the terrain before her. Her eyes lock onto a small red flag on the model, marking a location named Meteor Crate. Clutching the pink cloth Ye Qi gave her, she recalls its magical properties: invulnerability to swords, poison, and fire. Suddenly getting an idea, she shouts for Biangu and excitedly jumps down from her seat to put her plan into action. Rushing into the snow, she finds a white horse named Biangu and asks if it can fly before leaping onto its back, shocking it for 5 points. She terrifies the horse by asking if it can jump off a cliff, earning 9 points, then commands it to the meteor crater, earning another 9 as it refuses. Tap, tap. She gently pats the horse's neck, asking if it wants to help Boss Yi and the soldiers of the Buyue army. After the horse nods in agreement, she gives it a final pat and they gallop off, charging up a steep, snowy mountainside. Reaching a familiar cliff, she sighs in relief, realizing this is the very spot where she first fell from the sky. With a sudden flash of insight, she turns her head, a new plan forming. Pointing ahead with renewed urgency, she commands the horse to hurry up the rest of the mountain. Tap, tap, her white horse gallops swiftly through the snowy forest landscape. Thud, thud, thud. The incredible horse defies gravity, climbing a sheer, icy cliff face. Yan Qiling clings on for dear life, amazed that her horse can actually climb mountains. They finally arrive at the snow-covered peak. Atop the mountain, the horse lets out a triumphant neigh. She spots a large crater in the distance and instructs the horse to get ready. Ding, pointing toward the crater, she orders the horse to jump, shocking it for another 5 points. She gives her confused horse a devilish grin, cheekily asking if it's afraid of dying from a little fall. Slap. With a final pat of encouragement, she urges the now grinning horse forward. Together, they take a massive leap of faith off the towering cliff's edge. She screams as they plummet through the air, the horse neighing wildly beside her. Calling for it to appear, her determined eyes watch as a giant, fiery eagle screeches and rises from the depths below. She cheers with triumphant delight, knowing that with their arrival the soldiers will now be saved. Slap! A regular bald eagle suddenly smacks the much larger flaming phoenix. The fiery bird ignores the attack and soars high into the sky. Boom! The flaming phoenix retaliates, crashing into the eagle with explosive force. As she and her horse continue to fall, she waves desperately, calling out to the bird bros for a little help. The eagle and the flaming phoenix pause their fight, looking at each other in confusion. A brief flashback shows the two birds in the presence of an even larger, more divine-looking avian creature. The eagle's eyes suddenly sparkle with understanding and awe as it gazes at the fiery phoenix. Declaring that time is running out, Yan Qiling braids her horse's long mane and swings it like a rope, earning 10 points for confusing the animal. Swoosh! She expertly throws the braided mane like a lasso, snagging the giant eagle, and smugly thinks to herself that it was a good thing she saved so many of them. Tug! With a sharp pull, Yan Qiling secures her grip on the lassoed eagle. Swoosh! She and her horse are yanked into the air, much to the eagle's wide-eyed surprise. They land clumsily on the eagle's back, struggling to stay upright on their new feathered transport. Now riding the giant eagle, Yan Qiling turns to her horse and asks if it can win against the fiery phoenix. The white horse rears back defiantly and lets out a confident neigh in response. Crack, The horse slams its hooves down hard, shattering the eagle's tough feathers. Overpowered, the giant eagle falls unconscious from the sky, leaving the phoenix soaring above. The eagle snaps back to its senses, just as a system notification confirms its surrender. Thrilled with her new mount, Yan Qiling cheers and commands the eagle to fly towards the phoenix. Swoosh! The giant eagle, now under her command, soars swiftly toward the fiery bird. She splits her forces, ordering Bian Jiyu to take the eagle back to help the army, while she resolves to find Li Shiyuan with the phoenix. With her plan set, she jumps off the eagle's back, launching herself toward her new target. Squell! The surprised phoenix squawks as she soars directly towards it. She confronts the massive phoenix, undaunted by its fiery, imposing presence. Suddenly, a flash of blue light surprises her, causing a bead of sweat to form on her brow. Slap a wing radiating bright blue energy smacks the phoenix with incredible force. Scree! The fiery bird cries out in pain as the blow sends flaming feathers scattering. Angered by the attack, the phoenix glares as it struggles to regain its balance in midair. Seizing the moment, she yells, "No!" and prepares to throw the glowing braided mane like a lasso. Swoosh! The magical lasso flies true, perfectly snagging the phoenix around its beak. Holding the glowing rope firmly, she shouts a command for the great beast to come to her. She gives the rope a mighty tug and pull, commanding the powerful creature to come down. The massive phoenix is successfully subdued, its beak bound tightly by her magical rope. Wasting no time, she jumps gracefully onto the back of her newly captured fiery steed. With a gentle pat on its head, she commands her new phoenix mount to follow her as they soar through the snowy peaks. Her two new avian allies, the eagle and the phoenix, now fly in formation over the vast mountain range. The scene transitions, shifting focus to a distant snowy cliff. Elsewhere, Yishi and her housekeeper grandpa stand atop a snowy cliff, observing the events from afar. Yisai pulls his hand back, praising someone named Aorthus for their great potential, much to the housekeeper grandpa's delight. The housekeeper grandpa cheats Yichi for spoiling Yan Qiling, but Yichi defensively praises her cleverness for catching the hints he left, which the grandpa attributes to Yichi's own wisdom. Behind his mask, Yisai wears a look of quiet satisfaction and pride. The housekeeper grandpa muses that because the young miss is so young, he will be more considerate of her. Yisai retorts over his shoulder, insisting that she is not as young as she appears. Meanwhile, Yan Qiling continues her journey, flying resolutely on the back of the magnificent phoenix. She is suddenly bombarded with system points from Ye Qi and someone named Zheng Qingshan, leaving her bewildered as to their source. Frustrated, she blames Ye Qi and grabs one of the phoenix's feathers, crying ouch as it burns her hand. Tap. She gently pats the phoenix's head, reassuring it with a sweet smile. She ponders why the intelligent beasts aren't giving her points, unlike BNGU, leading her to a shocking realization. Maybe BNGU isn't a horse at all. Lost in thought, she continues her flight as the phoenix navigates a tight canyon pass. Spotting something below, she instructs her mount, whom she calls Lil Flame, to fly lower. Following her command, the fiery bird descends rapidly toward the snowy ground below. With a booming echo, she triumphantly exclaims that she's found him as they close in on a lone rider. The armored soldier looks up, startled by the sudden appearance of the massive fiery beast. She watches in confusion as the soldier below seems to be trying to avoid her, wondering if he hasn't seen her yet. She prepares to act, readying her glowing rope to throw it once more. The magical lasso flies through the sky, heading straight for its intended target. The rope secures itself around the soldier's waist, and she commands Lil Flame to fly, yanking him into the air. General Li Xinyuan dangles in confusion, earning her 9 points, as she tells him to hold on. He looks up and recognizes her with a shocked cry. After pulling him safely aboard, she announces their arrival as they look down upon a massive army engaged in a fierce battle below. Having arrived at the battlefield, General Li reaches into his armor and takes out a small pouch. Swoosh! Surrounded by flames, a young girl in a pink robe, watches as a man in gray armor draws a magnificent golden bow. Her eyes sparkle with awe as she gazes up at the powerful weapon. Swish. The archer pulls back the glowing bowstring, his expression fixed with intense concentration. Whoosh! He unleashes a fiery arrow that transforms into a massive phoenix, soaring towards a distant army. Boom! The flaming phoenix explodes upon impact, sending enemy soldiers flying through the air. Swoosh! The archer immediately knocks another arrow, its tip blazing with brilliant white energy. Wish! Watching from the flames, the girl thinks to herself how amazing the spectacle is. Pluck! She casually reaches into the fire and pulls out a single burning feather. Smiling brightly, she holds up the feather and asks General Lai if he can shoot it for her. Bull! General Li draws his bow once more, the flaming feather now part of a new powerful arrow. Swish! The arrow streaks across the sky, hitting the enemy ranks with a fiery boom and causing soldiers to scream for help. The girl, her hair now appearing a dark greenish blue, pumps her fists and cheers that General Lai did a good job. In a chibi moment, she rides a giant orange phoenix named Lil Flame, gleefully plucking its feathers as it yelps in pain. Flying away on the phoenix, she tells General Lai to continue the fight as he unleashes a volley of arrows from the cliffside below. He promises the young miss not to worry, his glowing bow aimed at the vast army before him. Swoosh! He fires a rapid barrage of flaming arrows, each one causing a massive explosion in the enemy lines. The enemy soldiers cry out in panic, yelling to disperse under the relentless assault from the lone figure on the cliff. Leaning forward on her fiery mount, the girl orders Lil Flame to rush down and fly lower. Roar! The phoenix dives as the girl mischievously prepares a white ribbon, eager to join the fray. Thud! She whips her ribbon through the soldiers, effortlessly sending them flying into the air. The terrified soldiers wonder if they are fighting an invisible monster, as the girl laughs maniacally from above. Her attack is interrupted by the sound of a familiar horse neighing in the distance. She orders Lil Flame to take her to the sound, as a system notification reveals her horse, BNGU, is jealous and neighing crazily, earning her points. Annoyed, she realizes her silly horse is jealous of her riding Lil Flame as she lands nearby. She looks on, speechless, as BNGU kneels before her in an appeasing gesture. She hops onto her satisfied horse, gaining more points, and decides to go check on someone named Hushi. As she rides off on BNGU, she glances back, a little confused. Her fiery phoenix Lil Flame stands alone in the snow, looking heartbroken with a single tear on its face. With a cheerful wink, she gives Lil Flame a thumbs up, telling him his mission is complete and he's free to go. Swoosh! With a final cry, the phoenix takes flight and soars away over the mountains. BNGU lets out a happy musical neigh, and the system confirms its happiness with 7 more points. She smiles and gently pats her happy horse's neck. Thud, thud, thud! She and BNGU ride along a narrow, snowy path between towering peaks. Sensing a murderous aura ahead, she is shocked by the intensity and wonders if it's the Dent Squad. As BNGU climbs a steep rock face, she wonders where a huge eagle is and if it has sent General Yu to the battle yet. She scoffs with a tisk, dismissing the eagle as useless. BNGU lets out a sharp neigh as they reach the top. Looking down upon the battlefield, she wonders what kind of interesting formation she is seeing. From an aerial view, an entire army is arranged in a vast, intricate snowflake-like pattern across the snowy plains. Soldiers stand in tight shield formations, their shouts of kill echoing as they surround their enemies. A small group of enemy soldiers is trapped as massive shield doors close in on them. Rush! The shields slam shut, and a sword is thrust through the gap with a sickening spurt. After the kill, a commander on horseback orders his troops to retreat. Thud! A line of soldiers braces themselves, their shields and spears forming an impenetrable wall. The entire army shifts into a tight formation, rearranging themselves into dozens of small defensive circles. Perched on the cliff above, the girl marvels at the complex maneuvers, wondering how such a tactic is even possible. She has a moment of realization, understanding now that Huzi's constant yelling to kill them comes from actual capability. Deciding the army's main purpose is defense, she turns beyond GU to go find General Tu Lang and investigate further.